With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
In a season of what-ifs and could-have-beens for Kevin Sandiego, as the driver of the 88 consistently seems to find himself caught in incidents and accidents. But tonight could serve as a reset for the Dark Horse driver. With his two main title rivals seemingly ready to miss tonight's round, as we return to American shores, this could be just the chance that Sandiego needs. Welcome everyone to the PRL Monday Night Series live here on RaceSpotTV. My name is DJ Clark, joined in the commentary booth by Joey Tebben, with our director and producer Hugo Louise behind the scenes. First up on the night is the MX-5 Cup Series. And Joey, we are without a question at one of the most difficult circuits in all of North America, Virginia International Raceway.
Yeah, potentially the most difficult natural terrain road course in North America, just by virtue of it has so many corners. There are so many things you need to memorize at this place. There's no runoff whatsoever. There's just a ton of grass, and when you get out in that grass, you're going to be spending a while trying to rejoin the track. It is one of the most complicated tracks in the country, but that's why it is, one of the most feared tracks in the country. That's why a lot of drivers looked at this race in the calendar thinking, this is the one I need to practice the most for. This is the one I need to nail, because you're really rewarded with skill here.
Yeah, you really and truly are. But before we get to the qualifying, which is currently ongoing, let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule for the season. Only a couple of rounds left to go here. After today, we head to Mid-Ohio and Sonoma, a pair of, I would argue, equally difficult American road courses. Then we hop overseas to Zandvoort, and obviously ending the season at Road America. And Joey, you and I have had that one circled for a long, long time as one to keep an eye on.
And we will always have that one circled. There's no better place to end the season than Road America in the MX-5 Cup Series. There's long straights, there's plenty of opportunities to pass, and that will be the absolute best way to close this season. But Mid-Ohio and Sonoma, two IndyCar tracks, two very, very tight tracks that you might think are difficult to pass, but it's easy to pass in an MX-5 on either of the long straights at both of those tracks. Those should be good races. Zandvoort, another place that's tight and twisty, difficult to pass in open wheel cars and bigger cars. But again, these MX-5s are little tiny machines, and they tend to race pretty good everywhere.
Yes, they do. And speaking of that racing, let's go ahead and take a look at the championship standings. We alluded to it a little bit earlier, but Jamison Sampaio and Felipe Senni, the two that have been leading the way here thus far. Kevin Sandiego, he currently finds himself in third place in a little bit surprising, a very fierce battle for third. Michael Chase, Kelly Greenhoe, Andrew Sharp, Andrew Venaro, Austin Bartlett Chase, and Kevin Berquist, all within 10 points of that third place position. Now, as we said, Sampaio and Senni are out today, so that's going to change things around here a little bit in the standings as they go. But this could be the opportunity for Sandiego to pick up some valuable points on his Brazilian counterparts.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sandiego, what he doesn't have is he doesn't have the opportunity to use a different week as a drop week. Jamison Sampaio has not dropped a single week in the first 5 weeks of the season, so he can use this week as his drop week and basically lose nothing over the course of the championship. Felipe Senni has already dropped a week as he wasn't here in week 1, and Kevin Sandiego DNF'd at Donington 2 weeks ago and also finished down in the field at Watkins Glen in round 1. So he has 2 races that were bad. Senni has 1 race that was bad because he wasn't here. Sampaio has no bad races to erase, so he's definitely still in control of this championship, but it might even out for the short term here if Kevin Sandiego can win tonight.
Yeah, it may indeed, and it's going to keep our mental math games on edge as we continue to watch along. And let's also take a look there at the teams standings here. Dark Horse Esports, the team of Ryan Kings, Kelly Greenhoe, and Kevin Sandiego leading the way there by about 16 points over Crikey Esports. Unlimited Slip finds themselves in 3rd. CFPM Sampaio in 4th place there, pretty much spearheaded by Jameson Sampaio himself, which is a real testament to just how much strength Sampaio has had here on the season. Whataback Racing finds themselves tied with Hub Racing, Fossil Racing, and YS Motorsports in a little bit of a battle there for 7th place. And then Apollo Racing Club and Derpy Playground YT round out your top 10. Dark Horse looking to pull away here, hopefully. And that is going to bring us to one more bit of business before we get racing on the day, and that is our sponsors. First and foremost, our coverage is brought to you by VCO, or the Virtual Competition Organization. Massive, massive thanks to them, because without them, none of this would be possible here today. We also want to give a big shout out to Advanced Sim Racing, owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members get an additional 5% discount on ASR products by using the Precision5 coupon code. We also want to thank Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount code using the Precision5 coupon code. Also, thanks to RaceLab apps. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. Also, thanks to the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And finally, we'd like to thank NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Well, Joey, that's going to lead us to qualifying around this 3.27-mile natural road course here around Dalton, Virginia. And a little bit surprising, Kevin Sandiego down on the times right now. He's only in 4th, and it's Pierre Robitaille that is leading the way up at the top of the standings.
Kevin Sandiego had a pretty commanding lead in practice earlier. He had like half a second over, I believe, Michael Chase, who was in 2nd, so I wouldn't be too concerned just yet. He's got 12 minutes to get a good lap time on the board, so I'll worry about Kevin Sandiego if he's still down there a little bit later in the session, but it is early days here in the session. Some drivers are probably honestly still getting some practice in here in qualifying. They're still trying to learn this track a little bit. So you might see quite a bit of improvement later on in the session once everybody really gets their footing down, once everybody realizes how to take this track with these lower qualifying fuel loads, and hopefully there will still be time on the track that's still left in 12 minutes.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there on that one as we watch Kevin Bergquist working his way around. Bergquist currently up in 5th place position. He's going to be getting a nice little tow there off the drivers in front of him, particularly Buddy Chamberlain, who he pulls alongside. Is there we get some good times up on the top of the charts. In 1, 2, 3, it is the Dark Horse Esports drivers, Sandiego, Greenhoe, and Kings.
Ridiculously long straights at VIR, so you again need teammates to work with. You need to get the draft from somebody if you want to put the car on pole time. Michael Chase will have Austin Bartlett Chase to help him, so he might be able to get up there as well. But when you have 3 Dark Horse Esports teammates in Sandiego, Greenhoe, and Kings all working together, that's going to be a very, very difficult triumvirate to beat here.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult indeed, as you saw Derek Putnam there skidding off the road at the exit of Hogpen. That is a very easy thing to do if you carry just a little bit more momentum. Let's see what Bergquist is able to get for himself. Looks like that's going to be a jump up of a couple of positions into 8th place. Also want to give some shout outs here to Jerome Stanton up into 5th overall. Michael Chase currently sits in 4th place. As we jump on board right now, Ryan Kings in the number 43, as Kings is working with his Dark Horse Esports teammate there, Kelly Green. No, but that's going to be a little bit of a slip and slide there coming up through South Bend. A very difficult corner, and now it's going to be Greeno that gets it wrong on the entrance there to Oak Tree.
And Greenhoe off the road. Ryan King's a little bit off as well, and it's a long track, but one mistake, it really throws off your rhythm for many, many corners there. He just barely got wide in the exit of South Bend at turn 10 there, and that kills your momentum coming into 11. You can recover a little bit in the exit of Oak Tree, but then you've got this very, very long straight coming up all the way to the roller coaster of turn 14. I think his teammate Kevin Sandiego is behind him here, getting a little bit of a draft, so that'll be helpful for Kevin Sandiego, but his two teammates who are trying to get a little bit closer to him aren't having such a good time of things.
And looks a little bit scruffy there coming through roller coaster, it has to be said, and a big amount of opposite lock there for Ryan Kings coming off the corner. Let's now see, as we ride on board with the 43, how he'll handle Hogpen here, bringing that car around. Good line, could have maybe taken a little bit more momentum there to the outside, but we'll have to see. He's currently about 0.7 of a second off of the best time. I'm not seeing a whole lot of green sectors here for Ryan Kings. And indeed, as he crosses over, that's not going to be an improvement in time there of about 2:11, 2:83. Jump a little bit farther back in the field here to Nathan Miller. Miller finds himself about 4 seconds off of the best time, but he will have a little bit of help here as he pulls himself along. And that looks like Eugenio Pulici there just up the road from him. He may get a little bit of a taste of the draft.
This is probably the most difficult corner on the track, I would say. The roller coaster here, you got to throw it up the hill, then basically a blind turn to the right there. You've got to get on the brakes while turning previously to navigate the most difficult section on this track. Then it's kind of straightforward here as we run down the hill. The last couple of corners, high commitment, high speed, typical stuff for these MX-5s, but the roller coaster at 14 and 14A is... I don't think I've ever hit that corner correctly, ever, anytime I've driven it. But Nathan Miller did a pretty good job of things there. He's pretty far down the order, lower than he would have liked. And there's those 2 seconds he found, and he jumps up to 13th.
Good run there for Miller. Here's Matthew St. Aubin working his way down the back half of the circuit right now, coming down the hill out of roller coaster. The privateer about 2 seconds off of the best time. Currently sat back 2.1 seconds to be precise. Big clip of the curve there coming through Hogpen, and that is going to be enough to send him out and over. There we get a live view of St. Aubin. He's going to bring the car into pit lane here, and well, for once, Joey, we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about pit lane. It's a relatively easy in and out here.
It is pretty easy, but it'll still help you out to practice it a little bit, just to get as much speed as you can on entry, to figure out where the very latest you can brake is before you brake too late and get yourself a speeding penalty. So as always, when we're probably gonna have a race that's very, very closely decided by the draft, when I would imagine we're gonna have at least 4 or 5 cars packed together in a lead pack for the win here, you really need to maximize your pit entry, and every last 10th or 100th you can get, that might be the difference between jumping somebody in the pits.
Yeah, very well could. We take another look here at Nathan Miller doing this by himself. Once again, it looks like Eugenio Pulici has been able to pull away there a little bit and maybe able to steal some of the draft of Buddy Chamberlain up in front of him. And this is one of those long straightaways that you mentioned here, Joey, and really unlike some of the other straight portions of this track, this is pretty much unabated. We don't have the snake or the rising S's here on the back half of the circuit. This is just flat out coming up into roller coaster.
And it's difficult because at some tracks you have a long straight like this and it flows into a passing zone. Unfortunately, this long straight flows into the roller coaster where it's almost impossible to run side by side. You can, but just as it's the most difficult corner on the track to take 1 car wide, it is even more difficult to take 2 cars wide. So you really want to have that move done by the end of the straight if you can do it, so you don't have to go side by side through 14. As we see Nathan Miller screw up that lap a little bit, throws it off the road, he's going to come back to the pits as well.
Yeah, he is. That hog pen corner catching out a lot of drivers here as we take a look back to the front of the field. And this is Kevin Sandiego. He was able to go purple there through the first sector, the first micro sector, I should say. So that's going to be a good run here for him. He's going to be pulling in behind the driver in front of him. That'll be a nice little run, nice little help at the draft, as here he comes up through the rising snake right now. Looking over at those times, he's at a personal best there in sector 2. Not necessarily purple, but certainly quick enough to be able to go. Gonna slide that car through South Bend, but that's how you gotta take it quick here on the MX-5s.
That is a driver in control of the vehicle. Bad news for him, though. Frank Klein ahead of him has been 4 seconds a lap slower than Kevin Sandiego in qualifying. Kevin's going to reach traffic here down the back straight. He should be able to pass him, but I don't think he wants to. I think he might just back off here and open up a little bit of a window here, because he's going to have to pass Frank Klein on track, and that's gonna screw up his lap, and it's going to screw Frank's lap up too.
Yeah, and I think a big problem there is he actually may have invalidated this lap. I saw him kick up a lot of dust there on the inside of Oak Tree. Sandiego is going to be able to get on by there going into roller coaster, so he is able to get things together. Oh, rear end wanting to break away there through the second part of the corner as he now brings it down into Oak Tree, or into Hog Pen here right now. Let's see what Sandiego is able to do. Not seeing personal best there in Sector 4 or Sector 5. 6 sectors here designated on this track. Let's see if Sandiego's going to be able to bank on those early lap improvements to improve on a 209.5. He is going to come across the line with a 209.3. Does that lap hold up? Yes, it does. My warnings are clearly not abated there, and Sandiego improves on his time 0.5 of a second ahead of his teammate Kelly Greenhoe.
And if he did that lap time with getting held up by Frank Klein a little bit there, imagine how much more pace he has in the tank. So I'm sure we'll ride on board with Kevin Sandiego one more time a little bit later, because you know what we got to do with Kevin Sandiego in the Monday night sessions, but we'll get to that later. Derek Putnam is working with his teammate in the 47 as well, Alex Teeter, a driver who actually made his series debut last week. Had a DNF, unfortunately, but what better way to finish your first race than to survive a whole race at VIR? And he's qualified okay, still down in 17th, but he's got a teammate in Derek Putnam to work with, and like I said, that's what you need to advance up the field here.
Yeah, you really need that draft coming down the long back straight, and you need a lot of commitment and confidence going down on the first half of the circuit. We watch here as Putnam's going to be able to pull that nice little draft. Putnam trying to improve on a 2:13.407 right now. It looks a little bit squirrely there for Teeter coming through roller coaster, but Putnam not being held up. Let's see how they handle themselves here coming down through Hog Pen. This has caught so many drivers out during the course of qualifying. Looks like everything is put together nice and easy. Now they come out onto the pit straight right now, blasting past the first of the garages here, and then by the media center as they come to the start-finish line. Let's see if Putnam or if Teeter are able to improve. It looks like Putnam was able to improve by 1 position up into 18th.
Putnam got the draft of his teammates, so we'll see if they switch around here, but we ride on board again with Kevin Sandiego. He's had no help on this lap. He's had no Frank Klein in front of him. He's had no teammates, but through the final couple of corners, he leaves a lot of room to the left there. Normally you see drivers kind of extending that a little bit, but you know what it's time for. Where in the world is Kevin Sandiego? It was very anticlimactic because he just pulled it into the pits, but he knew that he wasn't improving, and he's already on pole anyway, so he doesn't need the Rockapella to improve this week.
No, he certainly doesn't, but we're going to keep giving it to him anyways, because that's what the fans want to hear as we follow here Jason Larson as he works his way down. Larson currently down in 11th place right now on the backstretch, trying to see if he's going to be able to improve from a 2:11.499. As I take a look there at some of his times, looks like he was pretty quick there through the second micro sector, so that could be a good run for him. He's not going to have any of the advantage of the draft, though, unfortunately, so that could pull him back down a little bit for the number 13. Gonna run it very wide on the exit of Hog Pen, taking every single centimeter of the track. If he is able to get that, he's gonna stay out on track right now, and he's gonna try to come to the line and improve there on an 11th place position.
Take that very, very wide slide there through the final corner. It looked spectacular. He was right on the edge of the track limits, but you could tell that he really killed his momentum there, and he lost a full second compared to his fastest time. Christian Leziak here, a little bit lower than we'd expect from him as well, but he's got a huge draft from Kevin Berquist. And there's those 7 tenths that you can find in the draft. It's only 3 positions for him, but that hops him up to 8th. It's a place where it might be difficult to pass, and you want to be in touching distance of that lead pack. So 8th place is a pretty good place to be. Might be right on the edge of being able to stick with the lead pack.
Yeah, exactly. And you bring up a good point there of wanting to qualify a little bit towards the pointy end of the mid-pack, I think, because of that draft. Also because coming down through the first sector here on this track into Horseshoe, NASCAR Bend, and Left Hook, it is not necessarily out of the question to see a little bit of a stack up there, specifically coming up through Snake. I've seen quite a few stack-ups there in real life, so you've got to be a little bit careful on it, and I think the farther up in the field you are, the better chance you're going to have to avoid any of those calamities here later on in the race. But Andrew Sharp going a little bit wide there on the exit of Oak Tree. That's not going to be a good run there for him as we check back on Buddy Chamberlain. Chamberlain looks like he was able to improve up a couple of positions. That'll put him into about 9th place.
I think that's the first time we've seen Buddy Chamberlain in the top 10 all season in qualifying. So good on you, buddy. Good on you for a good qualifying result there. The two chases are working together as they always do. Austin Bartlett Chase still hasn't actually set a lap time. I think he's off track every single one of his laps in the last 12 minutes. So he has not been able to set a lap time down. He's been setting decent times. He's been in 2:10s, 2:11s, but none of them have counted critically. So let's see if this one will count, because he's only going to get one more shot at it if it doesn't. Michael Chase probably not going to improve on this lap. I might be proven wrong with the run to the line. He actually does by about a 10th, but critically, Austin Bartlett Chase goes to pole. Wow.
Up to pole position for ABC, the number 17, with a mega lap there of a 109.194. As you said, Joey, that's going to put him right onto pole position. Kevin Sandiego, be warned.
The two chases, they've said Dark Horse Esports is getting too much hype here about their abilities to work together. We can work together even better. Austin Bartlett Chase puts it on pole. That'll be his second pole, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't remember if he put it on pole last season or if he was just in the front row. I think it might have just been the front row. So first pole for ABC. That's a pretty incredible accomplishment, and he's going to have to give a big thanks to Michael Chase for giving him a huge draft.
Yeah, he certainly is. Here's Josh Kimbrell coming across the line right now. Looks like Kimball barely able to improve there. That's not going to move up as he goes. Now let's watch Kevin Sandiego getting squirrely coming through South Bend and on the run into Oak Tree. I don't know if he's going to pick up a 0x there or not, if that's going to invalidate his lap, or a 1x rather, for running off track. But now we can breathe for a moment here as he works his way down the backstretch.
Yeah, I didn't look quite closely enough to see if he went off enough to count that as a 1x, but even if it wasn't an incident point, he might be in trouble with just the lap time here. He needs to find a full 10th to beat Austin Bartlett Chase, which he potentially can do. He set that 209.3 with a little bit of draft from Frank Klein, but also getting held up by him. So I think that might be Kevin Sandiego's natural speed. Down through the roller coaster, looks all straightforward there, riding the curbs a little bit. This final turn here, this is where everybody's been struggling. They've been throwing it very, very deep. They've been killing all their momentum onto the front straight, but Sandiego, conservative again, keeps it to the right. We're going to try this one again. Bop, hoot and boobe doo. He's going to pit again. Never mind.
Just denying you your joy here today, Joey. I think he's listening in. I think he's listening in. He knows when you're going to do it, and he wants to pull into pit lane whenever he does. But here comes Jason Larson in the number 13. Let's see if he can improve from unlucky 13th there, as he's going to bring the car around just about as conservative line there as Kevin Sandiego ran. Although, unlike Sandiego, he is going to keep out on track right now. He's got a green time through Sector 2. This could be a little bit of an improvement here for the number 13. Going to cross over the line. No, going to be a couple of hundredths off, and the number 13 will stay in 13th. I think that is just about going to round us out here for qualifying on the day, unfortunately, as pretty much everybody has gone on through. The only driver I see out on track right now is Jerome Stanton, and I think he is about ready to wrap up as we take a look there at the media center, the production center, I should say, at Virginia International Raceway. The media center is a little farther back, and some of the garages there on site as well. But that is going to be close enough to be able to run you through our starting grid for today. Starting in pole position, it's ABC see for Unlimited Slip Racing. Austin Bartlett Chase flanking him, going to be set. Kevin Sandiego hoping to be able to have a good run here today with his two title rivals out of the race. Then it's going to be Kelly Greenhoe and Michael Chase, followed by Ryan Kings and Jerome Stanton for Fossil Skull. Then it's going to be Andrew Sharp in the YS Motorsports number 24, followed by Eugenio Pulici. Then it'll be Christian Liziak and Buddy Chamberlain. As we said, we think that's Buddy's best qualifying performance on the season. Pierre Robitaille and Kevin Bergquist will round out your top 12. Jason Larson for Crikey Esports starts off 13th, followed by Josh Kimball for Apollo Racing Club. Then it's Matthew St. Aubin and Nathan Miller, a row of privateers. Derek Putnam will start off in 17th, and then Alex Teeter will be in 18th. 19th is Pete Thomas, followed by Malcolm Foster with Frank Klein, Kyle Herlitzky, and Robert Gallinotto bringing up the back of the field. And crucially here, Joey, all drivers were able to set a time out there today, so that's going to make things pretty good as they run. We wait now for everybody to get gridded up and take a look there at track conditions. Just about perfectly in that Goldilocks zone, 85 degrees out on track, not a whole lot of wind, and right past midday. Couldn't ask for better racing conditions.
You really couldn't. And you might think it's October 22nd, you're in Virginia, you're on the East Coast of the United States, you're starting to move up a little bit on the coast. It should probably be a little bit colder in October, but as we've learned here in Pittsburgh as well, it was about 75 degrees today, and it's almost November, so the temperatures are not what you'd expect them to be in October, but I think 85-degree track temp. Some drivers might want it a little bit cooler, but they'll still be fine with it. They shouldn't be slipping and sliding too much.
No, I don't think they should. And by the way, you and I are going to have a conversation about what this seasons thing is. I live in Los Angeles. I'm not sure what that is. But nevertheless, we are ready to go racing here as the lights start to tick on for the MX-5 Cup Series. And there goes the green. We are racing at VIR. Good getaway there for Kevin Sandiego, but a little bit of wheel spin is going to prevent him from fully making the attack on Austin Bartlett Chase. The top 6, top 7 look like they're going to filter their way into single file position as here comes Sandiego on the attack, down into the horseshoe. He's going to push to the inside there. Austin Bartlett Chase is going to try to carry momentum, but the rear end wants to break away. He's going to lose 1, 2 positions as they work their way now down into NASCAR Bend, and Austin Bartlett Chase is going to find himself just ahead of Michael Chase in 3rd.
Not entirely sure why Austin Bartlett Chase opened up the door for Kevin Sandiego there. He had a good start. He was able to cover Kevin off, and then they just opened the door into turn 1. I don't know why he chose to do that, but I guess it's his first pole in the Precision Racing League. Not necessarily used it. There's a spin in the background. Ryan Kings has gone around, and his hellish season continues as well. He has no luck whatsoever. And on lap number 1, Ryan Kings is already going to the back of the field.
Oh, not a good run there for Kings, but up in the front of the field, his Dark Horse teammate continues to bleed his weight away right now as it is Kevin Sandiego leading by about 0.7 of a second over Kelly Greenhoe. Austin Bartlett Chase, though, being able to keep in good behind Kelly Greenhoe. And now as we work our way into Oak Tree, we'll be able to see that draft come on for the first time. That is Sandiego taking a big clip of the inside curbing, but who's it going to be in terms of movement? Is it going to be Austin Bartlett Chase? Is it going to be maybe Michael Chase, who looks like he's been able to get the best run out of the corner?
Kelly Greenhoe's a little bit too far back to really take full advantage of the draft. That 7/10 window is a little bit too big. He's going to be able to close it down a little bit, hopefully get within about half a second, but you need to be closer than that to actually think about making a move at the end of this straight. But everybody is still in contention here in the top 4. And that spin from Ryan Kings really helped to break this away a little bit. I thought we might have a train all the way back to like 8th place with Christian Liziak, but Eugenio Pulici already has a 2-second gap between him and Michael Chase, so it should be these 4 breaking away unless they start to fight.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there on that. It does look like Pulici is running in a little bit of an island unto himself right now, about 2 seconds back. We watch here as Michael Chase closes down on Austin Bartlett Chase. Let's see if this is going to be a little bit of a run here for the number 34 as they cross over the start-finish line for the first time. Looking to the outside, Austin Bartlett Chase not really choosing a defensive line, just sticking to the racing line there as they go down into the corner. Farther back in the field, this is Matthew St. Aubin and Josh Kimball as they're going to go a little bit side by side coming down into the corner. Looks like St. Aubin's going to be able to cover it off and hold on to the position.
This is quite a pack we've got here a little bit further back. They're side by side about 5 rows deep. A little bit further ahead is Buddy Chamberlain's losing spots, but Andrew Sharp is actually who's side by side with Andrew Chamberlain on your screen right now. He's still not quite clear of him. It's hard to clear another car in this sector of the track. It's just constant switchbacks you're constantly on the inside, then you're on the outside, then you're off the optimal line again. But Andrew Sharp is finally going to take that P8 position, and Kevin Berquist looks at all that fighting and he says, you know what, I hope I can take advantage of that. But that's what happened to Ryan Kings a little bit earlier in the same sector of the track. He just clipped the curb too much and spun that thing around. Exactly the same for Jerome Stanton, who got it a little bit harder.
Yeah, it looks like Stanton there just carried a little bit too much momentum through that first part of the snake, caught some of the outside dirt there, and that is what spun him around. Kings was a little bit stranger. It just looked like that was a long spin as Berquist is going to pick up a position there over Buddy Chamberlain. Chamberlain getting it all wrong coming up through South Bend, and he is a very, very lucky number 5 right now, as normally you see incidents coming through South Bend be a lot more dangerous than that. Right behind them, though, that is Josh Kimball continuing to try to hold off Matthew St. Aubin. They were side by side coming down into Oak Tree. Now we ride on board with Michael Chase, who's going to be giving a little bit of a bump draft here to ABC. I was wondering if we were going to see any of that coming down into Roller Coaster.
These two are definitely going to try and work with each other, but what they really need is Kelly Greenhoe to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, or maybe even for Kevin Sandiego to back off a little bit and bring Greenhoe back in, because Kevin Sandiego now is almost out of draft range Kelly Greenhoe, which will just make this a fight for second between Greenhoe and the two Chases. And they want to be able to fight with Kevin Sandiego. They all want their first win of the season. So Kelly Greenhoe's got to pick up the pace a little bit to make that a fight.
Yes, indeed. As we check back here on Andrew Sharp in that battle, a little bit farther back down in the field, that's the number 67. Directly ahead of him, that's Pierre Robitaille, trying to be able to get a little bit of a move done there on that. Christian Liziak leading this little trio. Sharp's going to have to make this work around the long way here of Horseshoe, a pretty flat corner. It's very hard to carry that speed, and indeed it looks like Pierre Robitaille is going to be able to hold that out for now as they now dive down into NASCAR Penn, holding this in single file order here. Now into left hook. Robitaille thought about a little bit of a look to the outside there of Liziak, but not going to be able to play off. Now on board with Liziak as they work their way through the snake. This is pretty much a single file train. Not going to be able to get a whole lot of passing done through here, at least until you maybe get up into South Bend, and even that is going to be a harder thing to call. You've got to pretty much run in line. But we've got to check back up here. Austin Bartlett Chase all over the back of Kelly Greenhoe.
Seems like Austin has more pace than Greenhoe, so normally I wouldn't endorse racing with the car in front of you when you're trying to catch the car in the lead, when you're trying not to slow each other down even more. But Austin Bartlett Chase was the driver who put it on pole. He clearly has more pace in the tank than Greenhoe. He's just got to figure out how to actually make this move and get by him without opening up that gap even more. Because if you go side by side at one corner here, say you go side by side through the roller coaster at the end of this straight, you're basically gifting Kevin Sandiego like a second and a half more of the lead while you try and figure that out. So Austin Bartlett Chase really has to think about where he wants to make this move, maybe into turn 1 if he can get a good run out of the final corner, because he needs to make the move while also minimizing his losses.
And a little bit of a look there for Austin Bartlett Chase going down into the roller coaster. He certainly thought about it. We're going to check farther back in the field here. This is Sharp and Robitaille. Remember, we were watching this battle a little bit earlier. They're going to be the brave ones to go side by side through the tricky downhill chicane here. We ride on board the hood of Kevin Berquist, who's sitting in the popcorn position to this battle as these two continue to go side by side. And it looks like there that Sharp is finally going to be able to get it. And that is Berquist sending in a mega move through Hog Pen, trying to make that work. I don't think I've ever seen a pass done through there.
That was one of the most calculated moves I have ever seen. That was just textbook stuff from Kevin Berquist. He was running the optimal line. He was running his own thing there, waiting for the two in front of him to make a mistake. Pierre Robitaille just barely gets offline, almost throws it off the road, and Kevin Berquist says, thank you very much, I'll come through there. But Pierre Robitaille just got hit, I think, by Buddy Chamberlain into turn 1, so it all might be falling apart here for Robitaille.
Yeah, and that was a little bit, I think, of a result of the battle with Josh Kimball there with Buddy Chamberlain trying to pick up the pieces as well. We'll have to get another look at that to be able to try to discern exactly what happened, but it looks like both drivers able to continue on. So for the moment, no harm, no foul. I can also tell you that that was Jason Larson also able to get a move done on Josh Kimball to be able to move that orange number 13 up ahead into P12 at the moment. So as they work their way through the snake right now, working their way into the Rising S's. This is what happened. This is Chamberlain there in that blue and white machine. As he comes down into the corner, I got to put that a little bit on Chamberlain there. If I'm being honest, he did clip that curb pretty heftily on the inside.
He did, and Robitaille's lucky he didn't get completely turned around there. We've seen that happen multiple times this season where just that little bit of contact will completely loop an MX-5 around. But he was able to save that, so lucky stuff, and they both got away with it, at least for this time. Austin Bartlett Chase, I think, made a mistake a little bit earlier while we were watching that replay. I think he threw it off the road a little bit, or at least just opened the door, because Michael Chase has gotten by him, and they've both lost a little bit of ground to Kelly Greenhoe now.
Yeah, they have, to the tune of about 1 second, losing that crucial draft that you mentioned. But we've got to keep our eyes focused back in this mid-pack. This is Josh Kimball, Matthew St. Aubin, and the 978 of Josh Kimball that we already mentioned. I think that's actually Teeter there involved in that as well. Here they come. That's going to be Kimball trying to carry a little bit more speed on Matthew St. Aubin. Kimball going the wrong way here, it has to be said. He's falling down the order from where he was. He was much higher up, and he has just not had the luck. But this is a big, big train starting to form, Joey, and I've got to think that they've got to be a little bit careful. This is very, very easy to get your braking zones wrong, specifically coming up through the Snake or the Rising S's, and then you can get a real domino effect starting to take place as we've had an incident up at the front of the field. Kelly Greenhoe and Michael Chase around.
Oh dear, Kelly and Michael. I thought Kelly had lost touch with these two. He was about 8/10 ahead, so I wonder if he just kind of spun on his own, and then Michael Chase couldn't avoid him. What on earth went on there coming into Oak Tree? I think at the middle portion of the lap, Kelly Greenhoe was just going extremely slow there. Actually, that's a turn 1 rather. I don't know why Greenhoe was so slow. I don't know if he got a slowdown or something, because that door shouldn't have been open for Michael Chase in the first place. That was bizarre.
Yeah, we were just talking about how that gap is extended upwards of about a second, and I wonder if he maybe cut the course a little bit coming down through Roller Coaster or maybe through Hogpen, and he was just trying to bleed off some time there. Big send up the middle there from Michael Chase, trying to maybe take advantage a little bit and just trying to bite off a little bit more than he could chew. But I also want to give some credit there to Michael, recognizing that he did make the contact and backing off there to be able to let Kelly Greenhoe back forward. That's some good sportsmanship there between the two.
And all of that kerfluffling has allowed Eugenio Polici to take second. Austin Bartlett Chase also had to check up for that mishmash there, and the guy who he said might be out of touch with the top 4, he might have the loneliest race in the world in 5th. Now he's running for 2nd. He's still pretty lonely. He still has 6 seconds to make up on Kevin Sandiego, but that's going to be way more than he was expecting, and it goes to show that just keeping the car on track, keeping your car out of other cars, at VIR especially, is the most important thing you can do.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that whatsoever. As we take a look here back on the number 74 in 13th, Matthew St. Aubin working his way through Roller Coaster, trying to close in on Josh Kimball. Big brake lock up there from Jason Larson, I believe, or Christian Lesiak, rather, in 10th place. You can see the smoke streaming off the brakes there of that number 91 as, Matthew St. Aubin getting it wrong through Hogpen. I have to tell you, when I was here earlier this year, Joey, I saw many a driver do that, as we've got a little bit of side-by-side for second place. ABC trying to muscle his way up into second.
Both of these drivers are giving Kevin Sandiego even more of a gift. They're probably not going to catch him on pace anyway, but if Kevin Sandiego's watching his relative, he's just saying, yes, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. I don't want to have to worry about anything for the next 23 minutes. Please keep fighting. But Austin Bartlett Chase was our pole sitter. Eugenio Polici was a little bit deeper in the field, so I can't imagine these two are going to be able to keep this fight up for much longer. But if Austin Bartlett Chase makes another mistake, which he's been the driver making mistakes, Eugenio Polici hasn't, that's what might even this battle out again.
Yeah, it very well could. Austin Bartlett Chase, he's going to have to stay clean here. We know he's got the outright pace over 1 lap, but the question's going to be is if he's going to have that pace over a couple of laps and be able to keep on the consistency here. That is going to be my big question about that. We watch the number 17 working his way out of South Bend right now into Oak Tree. Let's see if he's able to get this just about right. Perfect line there coming into the corner. Very aggressive chuck in onto it, and the 17 is going to be able to pull away there a little bit and gain a couple of tenths over Eugenio Polici.
That's that critical, 7/10 of a second gap that you need between Bartlett Chase and Polici coming down the back straight. If you can pull that much, you know you're in no danger whatsoever coming into turn 14 of the driver behind you trying to send in a move. They literally can't. They cannot close up enough to get to the inside of you. So that's the number a lot of drivers are going to have in their heads here coming into the final laps trying to defend moves. And you can see Bartlett Chase still completely in control of this fight. Polici's doing a good job of sticking with him, so it's not over yet. But like we said, Austin Bartlett Chase has more pace in the tank, and it's just up to Eugenio Polici to try and stick it up there for as long as he can.
And we've had a very scary incident in the back of the field. Pierre Robitaille getting it wrong, going down through the roller coaster. He actually cut across the track out of control and nearly caught up the likes of Buddy Chamberlain and Jason Larson and Andrew Sharp. This was incredibly close, as we do have our first taker down into pit lane, and that is going to be the number 24 of Andrew Sharp. I think he is going to come down into pit lane right now, because that was certainly a scary moment. Let's watch this back on replay. As we said, Robitaille just kind of getting it wrong, touches the grass. Whoa, whoa, wah, wah, wah.
I'm just laughing because Andrew Sharp got so unbelievably lucky there. That is incredible. Sometimes we talk about netcode on iRacing. Sometimes we talk about how you should get away with things that you should have gotten away with. Andrew Sharp probably shouldn't have gotten away with that, but he got lucky there. He got very, very lucky that he didn't get completely wiped out by the Christmas-wrapped MX-5 of Robitaille. And I thought that was just a normal strategy move for Andrew Sharp. Let's ride on board with him, by the way, as we see that. Whoop, there he goes. But Sharp gets away with it, and ELX to come down pit lane that time. 16.6 seconds. I thought that might have been a little bit of a long stop, but no, that seems about par for the course. So he's the first driver to legitimately bring it down pit lane and get out of this traffic and hope to jump them all.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that works. It's going to be a little bit of a give and take, I think, here in terms of that pit stop game, whether or not you're going to be held up coming through the traffic on the first half of the circuit, or whether or not you're going to be able to gain a benefit on the back half of the circuit. We will have to see how that shakes itself out. We watch Buddy Chamberlain, though, right now. He is up 3 positions from his best start of the season in 10th. Right now, trying to close in a little bit trying to hold off a little bit of the attack here of Jason Larson behind him, trying to close in on Kevin Berquist for 6th in front of him.
Buddy's had a completely solid day so far. 15 minutes. There's only one mistake that we saw. It was at turn 10, I think on lap 1, literally. So as soon as the race started, he got his one mistake out of the way, and since then, he's just been running laps. He's been clean. He's been green, and he's been doing a great job here, holding back a little bit more of the train, as I think Austin Bartlett Chase just went off again up front.
Yeah, I think he did as well, getting it wrong through Hogpen, and that's going to cost him some time to the tune of about 1.5, 1.6 seconds. Eugenio Polici able to pick up the pieces there from the number 17. We'll go back here in a minute or two and try to check a replay as somebody is off there. That is Alex Teeter way off into the grass there. Oh, that has got to be some big contact. We take a look here. This is going to be going down into the first corner. This is riding on board with Josh Kimball, I believe, currently in P10. There we see a little bit of that side-by-side. That's Pierre Robitaille coming through there. This is live pictures that we're watching, and that is the 978 just trying to be able to get everything back together.
Every red car in the field has decided, you know what, let's just all meet each other on the track here for P10. Kimball and Putnam and Robitaille, and there goes Kimball around. The tires are overheating for a lot of drivers here, and Kimball has finally been struck by it. I think he clipped the curb just a little bit, and as it was bouncing, it looped around. So Josh Kimball finally gets bitten by those tires. He finally gets bitten by the spinny MX-5, and he hasn't actually lost much in terms of positions. He's only lost about 2 or 3 spots, but he's lost a lot of time.
Yeah, he really and truly has. And this field's starting to separate itself out. Instead of the big trains that we were seeing earlier, we now have just couplets starting to duke it out. Namely here, one of them is Derek Putnam and Pierre Robitaille as they work their way by the hotel here at VIR. That's right, there's a hotel just off of the Rising S's. Very gorgeous views there as they now work their way up through Oak Tree right now, trying to see what they are able to do. Looks like a little bit of a narrower line there for Robitaille. I think that cost him a little bit of time coming off of the corner.
See what happened to Austin Bartlett Chase through the final corner. So many drivers have done that, and he's the next driver to do it. Just trying to extend the gap, or extend the track rather, a little bit too much. He got away with it. He didn't spin, but that's going to be another incident point. We're going to have to start thinking, as we always do, about that 13x incident limit. You only get 13 incident points. That's only 13 off tracks. Austin Bartlett Chase, I'm sure, has 3 or 4 so far, and if you're a driver like Michael Chase and Kelly Greenhoe, you've probably got a 4x for your car contact to go with that, so you're going to be teetering on the edge of those incident points.
Yeah, you've got to be very, very careful about that for all of these drivers. As we watch Kelly Greenhoe right now, looks like we've had a couple of more takers into pit lane. Bergquist, Larson, and Lysiak all coming down in. Little bit surprising here, I have to say. We normally see Kelly and the rest of the Dark Horse team here coming on in early in the pit stop cycle. They're leaving it until late this time around.
I think that's probably helped by the fact that they're separated on track. Kevin Sandiego is in complete control. It doesn't really matter what he does in the pit cycle. He can do whatever he wants, and he's still going to win this race unless he throws it off track in the wall. Kelly Greenhoe's only real mission here is to just advance his way forward through the field, and I think he's decided that he's probably got a better chance of doing that if he works with Michael Chase here, if they both drive their way forward and make up that gap on Austin Bartlett Chase. And of course, Ryan Kings, unfortunately, is out of the conversation early as well, so the teammates can't work together, but they've got to figure out how to work with other drivers on track, and Kelly's decided that he better work with Michael on track.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And by the way, Kings, Galanotto, Stanton, and Herlitsky looks like the 4 drivers that are potential DNFs on the day. Herlitsky is an official DNF. Kings, Galanotto, and Stanton all in pit lane, but they have all been in there for over 15 minutes. I doubt that we will see them back out on track. We continue to watch Kelly Greenhoe, though, in the number 12, continuing to chase here on the back of Michael Chase. This is the battle for 4th place right now as they crest over this long back straightaway that undulates up and down before coming into the roller coaster. There is a live view of Kelly Greenhoe. You see how he closes up under braking, being able to keep this nice and close behind the 34. It looks like he's able to actually gain a little bit of time in contact there with his teammates. You can see him chatting away, taking a little bit of curb before they jump onto the brakes into Hogpen. That's a driver off in front of them. I'm not entirely... That's Polici. That was Polici off in front of him. And is this going to be? Yes, it is. All 3 coming down into pit lane very, very quickly, having to jump on the binders, and this is going to set up a fantastic run to the end of the race with all 3 line astern coming into the pits.
Very late decision for Eugenio Polici there to come in, but he thought, I might as well minimize my losses. I've thrown it off the road just like Austin Bartlett Chase did before. I've already lost time. I might as well come down pit lane this time. But that really checked up Chase and Greenhoe. They both did a great job of actually getting on the brakes, but they're all going to be very, very frustrated as we watch the race off pit road. Bartlett Chase easily wins off. Number 12, Greenhoe, easily beats Chase off as well.
My goodness gracious, things very, very interesting in pit lane as, yeah, as you said, Greenhoe is going to beat Chase and Polici out, and that's going to set up a very, very close battle as Kelly Greenhoe actually finds himself just about a second behind Austin Bartlett Chase for 3rd place. I believe that will cycle out to 3rd place once everything is said and done in the pit stop cycle. That may even be 2nd place when everything is said and done, so some fascinating strategy coming to play.
Michael Chase needs to get rid of Nathan Miller very, very quickly. He needs to make this move on the back straight if he wants to keep in touch with Austin Bartlett Chase and Kelly Greenhoe to fight for the podium. Because if not, he's going to be stuck behind Nathan Miller, who has yet to pit here. He doesn't need to come in just yet. He probably still has maybe 1 or 2 more laps of fuel left in the tank. But yeah, Michael Chase has to make quick work of this because he's already got 1.5 seconds up to Kelly Greenhoe.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds up to Kelly Greenhoe. He really and truly is going to have to get a move on here to the best of his abilities to try to move himself up forward as they run. But yeah, as you said, Nathan Miller, one of the drivers who has yet to pit. We follow him on your screen right now in the number 6. He's a little bit of a fly in the ointment of this running as they come down through Oak Tree right now. Looked like Michael Chase took that corner a little bit tighter. That may cost him a little bit of time here down the back straightaway, but our leader, Kevin Sandiego, is coming down into pit lane right now, and there you can see the 88 coming in to get his service.
I think he got a speeding penalty last week, if I'm remembering correctly, so he's definitely cognizant of that. He doesn't want to repeat that. He has this race completely in control. Could probably get that car slowed down a little bit earlier before the pit commitment line and just be careful. And I think he's done exactly that because I see no evidence of a black flag or anything. After 16-something seconds, there goes Kevin Sandiego. He is safe, and he is going to be in complete control of this race. I hope you like VIR, Kevin, because you're about to have a 12-minute track day for the rest of this race.
He is indeed. I'm not sure exactly where. He may have a little bit of traffic to deal with. His buddy Chamberlain and Nathan Miller are all going to peel off down into pit lane, and that is going to restore the order up for the podium as Austin Bartlett, Chase, Kelly Greenhoe, and Michael Chase in your top 4. But we check back on the battle right now. Andrew Sharp trying to close in behind Kevin Berquist. Sharp getting a great draft here. The YS Motorsports driver is going to have to look maybe to the outside. Now he's going to dive to the inside. He's going to have to be later on the binders to make this move work, but he's going to go for it, going down into the horseshoe, able to get that MX-5 woed up underneath him, and a great move from Andrew Sharp.
Very, very good move by Andrew Sharp. Completely clean. Kevin Berquist gave him the room as well, as is completely expected for both of these drivers, and that was a textbook move. Jason Larson, though, clipped the grass a little bit. He's almost saved it. He's throwing that thing around a little bit. He did eventually save it, but he had to save it about 4 times there, and he just barely clipped the grass, I think coming through the first half of the corner at NASCAR Bend, and he just kept saving it and saving it and saving it. Eventually he did, after losing his spot to Christian Leziak, though.
Yeah, and that was some good avoidance there by Christian Leziak to be able to stay out of trouble in that. We jump back up to the battle for P2 right now. Austin Bartlett Chase being stalked by Kelly Greenhoe here, the number 12, riding behind the number 17 as they work their way through Oak Tree. Greenhoe maybe caught a little bit of that inside curbing, but I think a big wiggle there to the outside for the number 17 is going to be enough to throw him off a little bit, as now Greenhoe's going to be getting a big helping of the draft down the back straightaway as here they go. Does Greenhoe dare try to make a move going into roller coaster? The answer to that question is yes, he does. He's going to have a look to the inside. We haven't seen a whole lot of passing going down into roller coaster today, but Greenhoe's got a nose ahead. He's got a car ahead, and he's got the position.
And Austin clipped the grass a little bit on the entry under braking, so he lost a little bit of extra momentum that he might have been able to use to stick to the outside of Greenhoe, but he lost all of that. And now he's got to be on offense again here. He's thrown the car off the road in the final corner here a couple times, keeps it within the confines of the track this time. That's exactly what he needed to do. He's still going to be in the draft of Greenhoe, and he should have another chance into turn 1 here if Kelly opens the door for him.
Yes, indeed, as now they come down across the start-finish line, and it looks like Austin Bartlett Chase is not done yet. He's going to keep himself behind, looking this way. Little bit of touch of the grass again, and I think that was going to prevent any move or any thought of a move that he may have going down into the horseshoe. But now as they work their way up through NASCAR Bend, it's going to be a waiting game for ABC. We've talked about this before. There's not a lot of room to pass. By the way, you did see that car just flick into the background of the shot. That was Eugenio Polici running in 5th right now. He's about 4 seconds off of this battle. So I think it's pretty safe to say at this point, with only about 9.5 minutes left to go, we can probably count him out of contention for the podium positions, but it is VIR, so anything can happen.
Yeah, let's record that clip, and then when these 3 guys take each other out when they go 3 wide into turn 14 and Polici gets second, we'll throw that back in your face, TJ. But we'll see if that happens. Like you said, it is VIR. Anything can happen. Austin Bartlett Chase has thrown it off the road before tonight. I don't think Kelly Greenhoe has, but Michael Chase was the one who made contact with him. So all 3 of these drivers have had bad luck tonight. They're all hoping that they don't have one more bout of bad luck. They're hoping for 9 more minutes of clean racing here.
Yeah, wanting to have a little bit more of clean racing here up until the end right now. As here they come off the corner. Whoa, big tail wiggle there for Kelly Greenhoe as he catches the grass on the exit of Oak Tree. Now they're going to power their way down the back straightaway here. I don't think ABC is really going to be close enough to be able to get in on the back of him. And indeed, it doesn't look that way. The gap's only about 2.5 tenths of a second, and I don't think that's going to be really close enough here for Austin to send a move. But it does look like Kelly Greenhoe is still going to go defensive down into the corner, just cutting off any attack there from Austin Bartlett Chase.
Austin's just trying to stay in touch here. He knows that turn 1's going to be a far better passing opportunity if he can be a little bit better than he was in the last lap. Down through the last 2 corners again, just basically equal between all 3 of these drivers fighting for this podium spot, which is perfect for Austin Bartlett Chase. He's in the draft with about 3 tenths of a second here, coming down the front straight. That will be close enough to either pull to the outside or pull to the inside. I assume Kelly Greenhoe's gonna defend to the inside. No real surprise there. Let's see how late on the brakes Austin Bartlett Chase can be. It's definitely late enough, but it's tough to stick it around the outside in turn 1.
Yes, it is, and he's going to get forced just a little bit wide there. Lucky he was able to slot back in and be able to hold on to that position and keep on to P3 because Michael Chase is lurking in that background. He is certainly trying to come up and take that position as best to his abilities, but now it looks like ABC continues to apply a little bit of pressure here to the back of Kelly Greenhoe. Kelly trying to be able to hold that away. Now it looks like there was a little mistake there made by Austin Bartlett Chase. That's going to open up a little bit of an opportunity for Michael Chase to be able to keep the pressure here to the back of the number 17.
I don't think Michael's going to go for the move here on his son. I think he's probably going to give him a little bit of a push down the back straight, but those mistakes aren't going to be allowed for much longer. Michael Chase wants to fight for the podium in his own right. He wants to fight Kelly Greenhoe as well. You can only help your own son for so long, and Austin Bartlett Chase did just make that little mistake there, got a little bit offline, and that checked him up for multiple corners, and that's expanded the gap up to Greenhoe by about a second. But he's already brought it down. Coming through Oak Tree, he's already completely brought that gap down. That was an incredible run through those two corners, and he's already back in draft range of Kelly Greenhoe.
Yes, he is down to about 0.5 of a second here, but the question is Michael Chase going to be able to do anything to respond here or maybe steal away that podium position from his son? We will have to see as they continue to fly down the back straightaway with about 6.5 minutes left to go here in this race. Not a whole lot of time here for the rest of these drivers. Ooh, a little bit early onto the brakes there was ABC. I think that may have caught Michael Chase just off guard a little bit and scuppered an attack, but here comes Chase looking better. I should say Chase the senior looking a little bit better down through Hogpen. Big hop of the curb there for ABC as now they come, and I think this is going to be in the opportunity of Michael Chase as he is right behind the number 17. He's going to pull up behind here, waiting to make the pull out here as they come down the front straightaway. Where is this move going to happen, and where is ABC going to defend? He's going to move to the outside there, and that's going to open up the door to Michael Chase to come down the inside into the horseshoe. Tries to be later on the binders, but ABC is able to keep it covered off.
Yeah, Michael, I thought Michael was going to give Austin a little bit of a bump draft there. He was pushing him for like half of the straight, and then he said, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to pull to the inside, and I'm going to try and go for this move. But the draft just kind of died out for him. He hit a wall of air. He wasn't able to stay side by side with Austin Bartlett Chase, and he's going to return to his usual position of just running in fourth and hoping the two drivers in front of him come together. The 17 of Austin Bartlett Chase seems to have more pace than Kelly Greenhoe. He always has, but making this move has been almost an impossible task.
Yeah, it really has. It shows you just how difficult it is to really get a pass done here at Virginia International Raceway. It is one of the more difficult things to do on the whole, as here they come separated by only about 0.5 of a second. The three of them, great run there for ABC as they work their way up towards South Bend, but it looks like that's not going to be able to play out, and indeed a little bit of a checkup there is going to allow Michael Chase to enter back into the equation, but now it's all going to come down here to the exit out of Oak Tree. Who are they going to be able to run with here? Who's going to be able to get the best run? It looks like there that Kelly Greenhoe able to just inch ahead a little bit. Could that be enough to buy him some time? And could this be just what Michael Chase needs to move his way back onto the podium?
Bought Kelly about 0.4 of a second. Michael again getting very close to the back of Austin, but he's going to back out here, I think. He's going to let Austin go for this run. He's actually going to push Austin to the outside of Greenhoe. Michael Chase does finally use the bump draft to push his son alongside Kelly Greenhoe, but Austin loses it. He takes Kelly Greenhoe with him.
That was Austin Bartlett Chase just getting it wrong through the final corners there, through the roller coaster, and Kelly Greenhoe is going to drop all the way down into 5th place as a result of that contact. He's going to find himself about 4 seconds behind Eugenio Pulici. Everything going wrong here for these drivers in the dying stages of this race.
That's exactly what Eugenio Pulici needed. He's actually going to be able to fight for the podium now, but let's see what happened here. Michael Chase gets to the back of the gradiented car of Austin Bartlett Chase. He's pushing his son. He's trying to help him in the battle for second here. But I don't think Austin was ready for the extra speed coming into 14. He just throws it off the road a little bit, clips the grass, and he's completely out of control of the car. Can't get it slowed down. And unfortunately, there was a Kelly Greenhoe right there for that car's trajectory to meet. And again, they take each other out. Michael Chase comes through, and Austin Bartlett Chase is off, and Pulici spins as well.
Oh my goodness gracious, I was about to be hooting and hollering there for the ProDrive Esports team, a member of Eugenio Pulici, but it looks like that is not to be as he spins it by himself. Maybe a little bit of incident fixation there for Pulici, and that's going to allow for Kelly Greenhoe to sneak back up into the top 4.
I'm worried for Kelly Greenhoe now because that's 2 4Xs and he only has 5 other incident points to play with. I don't think he's thrown it off the road very much, so I don't think we have to worry about his off tracks, but he's certainly getting up there. Polici must be as well. Austin Bartlett Chase is definitely getting up there as well. And Michael Chase as well, for that matter. They're lucky there's only 2 laps left in this race because they're all going to be playing with the limits here.
Yes, they most certainly are. As we jump back to check out Andrew Sharp here, Kevin Bergquist behind him as they run about 0.6 of a second separating this. This is the battle for P6. Now that that battle up at the top of the field has started to dissipate a little bit, this is our current closest running fight as we see it. And don't look now, that's Polici directly up ahead of this. So if we see another calamity taking place, we could very well see Sharp or Bergquist being able to punch their way up into the top 5.
Both of them would certainly deserve a top 5. They've been probably the 2 only drivers in this field who haven't made any mistakes tonight. They've both been completely clean. They've both kept it within the confines. Kevin Bergquist probably pulled off the best pass of the night through the final corner a couple of laps ago. So both of these guys definitely up there in the conversation for some of the drivers of the day here. Of course, Kevin Sandiego has also been mistake-free, and he's been leading the whole way, but he's also kind of been out of our mind for the last 30 minutes. These 2 guys have been kind of the stars of the show.
Yeah, let's not discount Kevin Sandiego here. 21 seconds to the good there, but we've got to keep our eyes focused on some other battles out on track. Alex Teeter and Frank Klein. This is currently the last 2 drivers running out on the track. Excuse me, Jerome Stanton is out there as well, 5 laps down. But this is the battle for 17th. As here comes Klein making a move, sweeping there around the outside. That was some gutsy stuff from the 52.
It was a slide job. That was quite literally a slide job by Frank Klein. Well done there. He was clearly faster, and he said, "You know what? I'm not waiting up for you, Alex Teeter. I'm going for this move, and I'm gonna go for a classic VIR slide job on you." So, add Frank Klein to the list of drivers who've put on a show tonight. Alex Teeter has had some struggles tonight, but it looks like he will actually bring it to the finish, which is already better than his first PRL race last week, where he DNF'd. It's baby steps, but you know, he's teetering on the edge of improvement.
Just working his way forward, and that's what you need to do. But he doesn't have all that much longer to go because they will take the white flag this time by, as it is already waved for your leader, Kevin Sandiego, who currently works his way onto the backstretch right now. But we keep our eyes here on Teeter. There is Sandiego on your screen, rising over the crests and falls of the back straightaway, getting onto the binders here before they enter into roller coaster, as he now brings the car down. A little bit of sideways action there, but not a whole lot. Here he comes. Really only one more corner to go. It is Hogpen for the number 88 as he mounts over the curbs and brings it through the right-hander, trying to see what he is able to get. The number 88 it did exactly what he needed to do today with Senni and Sampaio not here, as here comes Kevin Sandiego to the line to take victory at VIR.
Second win of the season for Kevin Sandiego. Very, very well done. With his 2 opponents not here, his only task was to win, and he did that. So he fulfilled his only task tonight, and I'm sure he's going to be very, very happy. He's had some bad luck in both this series and the F3 series this season. He's finally got win number 2 on the board.
As we watch a battle here between Buddy Chamberlain and Christian Lisiak. Lisiak trying to be able to get by the number 5 here, but Chamberlain trying to convert on what we believe is his best qualifying position of the year. He's going to be able to bring that car around through Hogpen and be able to hold off any attacks there from Lisiak as the number 5 comes out. Is that Kelly Greenhoe out of fuel? That is Greenhoe slowing down at the line. Greenhoe is out of gas.
It all comes tumbling down for Kelly Greenhoe, as if this race couldn't get any worse. At least he's laughing about it. At least he's finding some dark humor in it. But he is just crawling, and there he goes. He finally makes it to the line. P10, though, much, much worse than he was hoping. I also couldn't read what his t-shirt said, but I'm going to pretend it said, "Pretend I didn't run out of fuel."
Probably there on that is the 52 and the 47 cross on over the line right now. That is finishing themselves out here. This is Frank Klein and Alex Teeter. Excuse me, that was the line on the back straightaway. This is the 2 last drivers really here racing around our closest battle yet. Let's see if Teeter tries to send a move here going into roller coaster. It doesn't quite look like he is able to do that. Now there's a little bit of an opportunity, as that was a mistake from Frank Klein. Klein sends it off track, and that is thank you very much for for Alex Teeter. He's going to be able to move his way up into 16th as they come out of Hogpen, and that will, I believe, if Teeter's got enough in the tank, he will be able to take him to the line and to a 16th place finish here today.
Every position matters. Points pay all the way down in the Precision Racing League as long as you finish more than 50% of the race. So you got to fight as hard for 16th as you would for the win.
Yes, it is. Let's run you through that final finishing order here. Kevin Sandiego for Dark Horse Esports taking a commanding victory on the day when his two title rivals were not here. Exactly what he needed to have happen. Michael Chase and Austin Bartlett Chase making a family affair for the podium with Eugenio Polici and Andrew Sharp rounding out the top 5. Then Kevin Burke was finished in 6th, followed by Buddy Chamberlain in 7th, Liziak and Putnam 8th and 9th, and Kelly Greenhoe ran out of fuel but was still able to cross the line in 10th. Then it was Jason Larson and Pete Thomas, Matthew St. Alban, Josh Kimball, and Malcolm Foster in your top 15, followed by Frank Klein and Alex Teeter, who round out the drivers who were able to finish on the lead lap. Here, Robitaille looks like he was a lap down, followed by Nathan Miller, who was 4 laps down. And we get into some drivers who had some problems on the day. Jerome Stanton, Ryan Kings, Robert Galanotto, and Kyle Herlitsky. As now, it looks like we are ready to talk to a few of our victors here today. And first up, it is the man who came home in P1, Kevin Sandiego. Got pipped there at qualifying, but by about lap 2, it looked like you had this race sewed up.
Yeah, hey, how's it going, guys? Definitely, I was expecting to be on pole there. I thought I was definitely going to close that one down. I had pace for 2:08 in qualifying. I just couldn't get clear enough track to put it up there. But yeah, definitely a good run. It was fun running against the Chase boys, and our team didn't do so hot, but we'll get them next week.
Well, I'm curious, over the course of qualifying and over the course of the race itself, how much communication were you guys having? I mean, were you expecting it to be this a pretty heavy team race where you needed to be working together, or was this one a little bit solo?
Yeah, there was definitely coordination going on offline there. Definitely, we're trying to get everybody higher up in the on the starting grid, but didn't exactly work out. We tried a few times and just didn't exactly work the way we were expecting to, but good result anyway.
A good result for you, but next week we head out to another tricky American road course in the form of Mid-Ohio. How do you like the chances there? How do you think that's going to go, especially if we see Senni and Sampaio come back into the mix?
I know all the shortcuts there, so I'm excited for it. It'll be good.
Well, fantastic. We look forward to seeing you there, my friend. But for today, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks to my family, my folks. They always watch, and certainly all the gear providers I've got, SimiCube, Husingfeld, Advanced Sim Racing. Always have a good performance with all this stuff, so super happy with it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kevin, and congratulations once again.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, that was Kevin Sandiego, your first place finisher here today. And now, Joey, I believe you have caught up with our second place finisher, Michael Chase.
Indeed, Michael Chase. We've lost Michael Chase. Let me drag him back up in here. Michael Chase, kind of a crazy race up there in second place coming to the line. It seemed like you and Austin and Kelly were switching every other lap here, but what made the difference? How'd you pick off the second?
Hey, Joey. Yeah, it was a little frustrating how that went down. I did not want it to work out that way for Kelly, so apologies to him. But I think we had the pace out here. It's a fun place to race, so enjoying it.
What were you looking for coming into VIR this week? Because it's a difficult track. It's a track that everybody kind of circled on the calendar for maybe being the toughest one of the whole season. Were you looking at this as a place where you might have an advantage, or were you a little bit scared of this place?
No, I like VAR. I think it definitely is a challenge. I like that about it, but it has some speed. There's some tricks, and so that's kind of fun. So got some learning to do yet, but I was looking forward to it.
We haven't got the chance to actually talk to you that many times, so I do have a question that I've always been wondering. You and your son, Austin, that's an interesting dynamic. We got a couple of those in the PRL, father and son dynamics, racing each other on track.
Nice.
Does that impact how you guys race each other?
Well, it's a fun way to hang out once in a while, once a week in this case. So a little bit of practice in between. So that's good because we don't live in the same city. But that's the best part. And then I guess the natural teammates most days. So it's working out.
Do you have any secrets that we could ask Austin about to kind of scare him from his dad? any embarrassing stories that we can break out later on?
I'll think of some for maybe I get in this broadcast again. We'll see.
Selling it, Michael Chase. Congratulations on second place again, and hopefully we talk to you next week.
Thanks, Joey. Have a good one.
Always happy to talk to a Minnesotan in Michael Chase, and well, guess what? You get a second Minnesotan. His son Austin is with DJ.
Yes, indeed. Austin Bartlett Chase converting pole position to a third place here. That's got to feel pretty good on a tricky track such as VIR.
Yeah, I mean, certainly excited about the pole and finishing on the podium. Those are both firsts for me in the PRL. Kind of the way the race ended, I can't feel quite so good about it. I'm going to have to watch the replay back again and see exactly how it went down with Kelly Greenhoe. Yeah. Very, very sorry to Kelly, regardless of what happened, to see it end that way.
Well, I have to ask you, with pole position and with everything else, and this being such a technical, tricky circuit, what was your kind of mentality? What was the way you were approaching this race? Was this going to be a race of survival, or was this going to be a race where you were pushing as hard as you could to try to gain up as many positions as possible?
I definitely came in with a strategy, a little bit of survival. I was honestly pretty surprised about grabbing the pole. I didn't get a whole lot of practice here this week, so I got a nice draft in qualifying and got that pole. Yeah, I got a poor start off of the line, but yeah, from there I was trying to hang with the people with pace and survive.
Well, survive you did, and next week we turn our sights to another road course just a couple of miles west of VIR in the form of Mid-Ohio. How do you think that's going to do? Another technical challenge here for you.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't driven there. I'm going to have to go download that track and give it some practice this week. So, yeah, should be interesting for me in that way.
It'll be very, very interesting to see, Austin. We wish you the best of luck when we get there. But before we do move on to next week, anybody you'd like to thank for the third place here today?
Oh, definitely my my teammate, my dad. Got me that qualifying lap with the nice draft. We're working together in that race, and it's always fun every week driving with him.
Well, fantastic. Austin, congratulations again, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
That was Austin Bartlett Chase, your third place finisher here today. And Joey, I believe we've got time for a quick more one with our fifth place finisher, Andrew Sharp.
Andrew Sharp heading up the Yellow Stripe Motorsports contingent tonight. You did exactly what you had to do at VIR. You kept it between the lines, and you got a top 5 out of it. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a crazy one. I don't know how I was able to avoid a lot of this stuff happening in front of me. So definitely a race for survival for me, but happy that I was able to make it through and get a top 5 out of it.
DJ's been hyping up Mid-Ohio next week as a difficult track. I don't necessarily see the difficulty, but maybe that's just because I've driven so many laps in it and I have a connection to it. But how do you feel about Mid-Ohio next week? Is it more or less frightening than VIR was this week?
This is definitely one of the tougher tracks that I've raced on, so hopefully it's not as bad. Just same as Austin, I haven't put a lot of laps in there, so hopefully it's not as bad as this, but I guess we'll find out next week.
We will indeed find out next week, and before we let you go, you know what you got to do. There's a lot of people at YS Motorsports. It seems like you guys have drivers in every single one of our series, so give them all the shout-outs they deserve.
Yeah, it's been really great this season. I feel like I've been able to actually start producing a little bit more, and that's thanks to the boys at YS Motorsports for supporting me, and hopefully more of them join next season so we can get a nice squad going here. But really thank you to all of them for helping me out and helping me get started in this league.
I can only hope that we see a buzzing hornet's nest of all those YS Motorsports MX-5s in the grid next season. But congrats again on P5, Andrew, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Looks like that's everybody who wants to talk to us this week, DJ, and there's where we're going next week. Probably the racetrack I've spent more time at in real life than any other track, Mid-Ohio. Always happy to go there.
It's a fantastic little gem in Lexington, Ohio, and we are very, very excited to get to that next week. But before we get there, we're not done for tonight, because that's right, we've got another race in store for you. The GT4 Fixed Series is ready to go racing here at Sebring International Raceway. Hashtag respect the bumps. And this series is, well, it's been a lot closer up at the top of the running order in terms of our championship points. But Joey, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the schedule for this series, because it has been a doozy and we still have some great tracks left to go. Sandown, always going to be a little bit crazy after its addition last season. Very much looking forward to that one. Then we head to the Nürburgring, Mid-O again, and also, like the MX-5 series, we end everything at Road America.
Well, I can only hope that Sandown is going to be as good of a race as it was last season. I can only hope, but we'll see if we can go 2 for 2. We've been hyping that one up a lot. But then in Germany at the Nürburgring, of course, that's going to be a good race all the time. When you put GT4 cars on a big Grade 1 track with long straights, it's basically guaranteed to give you some good racing. Mid-Ohio, I just talked about that about 4 minutes ago. I won't repeat myself and simp over Mid-Ohio too much. And then, of course, the final race of the season, Road America, again, will end the MX-5s and the GT4s at Road America. And it's a track that's perfectly suited to both of those series.
It most certainly is, and I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the season. But there, as we take a look at the championship standings here in this GT4 Fixed Series, Justin Ream leads the way, but by the narrowest of margins, and it is starting to become a three-way fight between Brockway and Diaz, as those three separate themselves out from the rest of the field. Francis Castillo-Romero still has a shot to be able to close on in. Patrick Bachelard starting to find himself a little bit farther off the pack there in P5. Then it is Jaquez, Jean-Marc Tremblay, followed by Dean Giroux and Johnny Luna and Chase Brown, who are in a very, very tight battle there for that 8th place position. We also have teams championships there, and it is Precision Racing Esports Pro that is absolutely dominant, up ahead by to the tune of about 70 points or so. Then YS Motorsports there is kind of in an island unto themselves, as is Advan Motorsports. SRT Esports finds themselves in a little bit of a battle with Precision Racing Esports Academy. Then we take a jump back to Can-Am Racing and our personal favorite name here in the series, hashtag Monkey Butt Rides MRT, who find themselves tied on points with Hardpoint by Delta Sport. HPDS Academy and Britannia iSports round out your top 10. And as we turn our eyes right now to qualifying, which is underway, I can tell you that it is the usual suspects up at the top of the charts in terms of Justin Ream and Owen Watts, but it's a new name, Hernan Gonzalez, who finds himself up in P3 right now. Marvin Freitas there up as well. Michael Diaz only 5th.
Never seen the movie The Usual Suspects, so I can't make any references, but yeah, that is a new name. Hernan Gonzalez has signed up late in the season. He's not going to be fighting for the championship, but that's not going to concern him. He wants to fight for as many wins as he can get, and he's doing a great job up there in P3. Owen Watts as well made his debut in this season 3 races late. I shouldn't say debut. He joined our season 3 races late. He's been here for quite a while. But he's got 3 DNSs to make for if he wants to fight for this championship. That's a big gap he needs to break down. But if he can get, 7 wins in a row, if he can go for the complete clean sweep, he might have a shot at it.
Yeah, he might have a shot indeed. Adam Brockway only in 7th right now, so we'll have to see what he is able to do as we watch some of the Precision Racing Esports teams, team members working their way through this track. And I've got to say, I think a strategy like this, we talked a lot about the benefit of the draft at VIR. I think it's going to be just as helpful here. Long straightaways on this Sebring International Raceway, whether it's on the back straight, whether it's coming out of Sunset into Turn 1, plenty of places to use that draft to your advantage.
Yeah, the Ullman straight here, the back straight. Justin Ream isn't going to be getting much of a draft from Darren Rutherford in the bronze-colored car up ahead, but he might get a little bit, just a little sniff at the draft. Then under braking here into Sunset, so difficult. It's almost an impossible corner to figure out. It seems like you run a different line there every single time you take it. If you're not as disciplined as I am, or if you're not disciplined like I am, rather. But Justin Ream had it under control there. He's got it mastered. He knows how much commitment he can take through there. Doesn't improve on that lap, though, and he might get a little bit closer to Darren Rutherford over the course of this lap and actually be able to take advantage on the back straight this time.
Yeah, he certainly might, as there Rutherford kicks up a little bit of dirt in front of Justin Ream, so that's certainly going to be a little bit of a help there to him, as, ooh, there goes Rutherford off track right now, and so that is going to open up the back half of the circuit here to Justin Ream. We'll have to see if he's going to be able to improve there on the time or not. Owen Watts certainly close here as they run. He's only a couple of tenths of a second behind. Let's call it about 2.4 tenths. And he certainly looks like he could be able to gain some time here on Ream, but we stay on board with Ream, working his way through the hairpin, passed down out of the Fangio chicane, working his way through the backstretch. This is, for me, Joey, one of the hardest parts of the circuit, not necessarily because of the types of corners that come on here, but because of the flatness of this concrete circuit. It can sometimes be easy to get lost in your surroundings.
It can be, and there's a lot of corners where there aren't braking markers. Of course, we have the cones here. Those are very, very helpful under braking into tower there at turn 13. So there are technically braking markers, but you can't really use them because you're too busy trying to reorient the car. You're trying to get back over to that side of the track. You're spat out on so many of these corners on completely the wrong side of the track. So you're just trying to juggle about 14 different things in your head while you're trying to figure out how to drive through here at the optimal pace. There's a reason why this place is not my favorite track, and that's because it's so difficult, and I need easy tracks. I need tracks that can give me a little bit of help, like at the Nürburgring in a couple weeks. There's lots of runoff there. There's braking markers. Sebring's far more of a challenge.
Yeah, it is very, very challenging, and we haven't even mentioned the most challenging part of the circuit, which is the bumps that exist around here that love to displace the car a little bit. You can really get a sense of them there as we ride on board with Justin Ream coming through Sunset. And I will tell you, one of the things about that corner, you mentioned the multitude of lines that you can take. If you do run a little bit of a wider line through Sunset, you'll avoid some of those bumps down to the inside, so that may be a little bit of a strategy that we see deployed. We check back here on one of the Aston Martin drivers, Patrick Bachelard, who currently runs in 8th right now, the number 100, working his way down the back part of the circuit, flicking the car through the lead up to Jean de Bienne, really going through Bishop, and now lining up into that very, very crucial run into Le Mans Curve.
So a good lap for Fernando Ayaquez there, improving. Michael Diaz did as well, so I almost wonder if they were both working together a little bit. Michael Diaz improved and gave Fernando a little bit of a draft, but Patrick Bachelard all on his lonesome here down the Ullman straight. That Aston Martin, pretty slippery in a straight line. Not the fastest in a straight line out of the whole field, I don't think, but clearly enough speed there for him to overcook it a little bit in the Sunset. He almost wiped out the cones. It's going to allow him to do a little bit of a switchback here onto the front straight. I don't know if there's going to be much improvement on this lap just because of the overcooking of Sunset, and there it is, all 2 tenths off. That might have all come at Sunset.
And there's Chase Brown trying to work his way down to the inside as the checkered flag flies here for qualifying. Brown's going to cross over the line. That's not going to be an improvement there. Jean-Marc Tremblay is going to decide to come on into pit lane. I was just following Justin Ream, by the way. I can tell you that he has decided to park it out on track, not able to improve. But here comes a long run of those Precision Racing Esports machine. I believe this is all the pro entries here. Jerome Bertillon following on behind right now. He's currently 19th. A little bit farther down than we're used to seeing Jerome.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jerome this week. Hasn't been able to figure out Sebring, but he is getting the draft from his 2 pro teammates of Diaz and Francis Castillo Romero. So he's going to get a double draft here from 2 BMWs, and that's exactly what he needs to improve just a little bit if he can. Through the final couple of corners here at Sebring, always difficult, especially when the sun is as bright as it is in the sky. It's almost like the whole concrete track just looks white. It's like you're driving on a snow patch or something. You got to figure out where you are and kind of reorient yourself. But down the back straight here, that was almost perfect. Francis and Michael were a little bit quicker than him. They extended the gap a little bit, and that's going to allow him to get even more of a draft, and he's also not going to run into him coming into Sunset.
Yeah, it's going to get a nice little tow here. Looks like a little bit of a move potentially from Francis Castillo Romero as he tries to just back up Sunset a little bit behind Michael Diaz. But they're now going to work their way onto the front straightaway here. We'll have to see what these lap times are. Let's see if Diaz or Castillo Romero are able to improve on their own. They're going to come across the line right now, waiting for those times. Bertillon improves up to P9. Diaz and Castillo Romero look like they're not going to be able to improve.
The magic of the double draft. That was 10 spots of improvement for Jerome Bertillon, almost a full second of lap time as well. So it helps to have quite a few teammates. Not a lot of teams in this series have 3 cars to work with, but Precision Racing Esports really took advantage of that, and now they've got all 3 of their drivers in the top 10.
Yes, they do. As we wait for the final driver to cross over, I believe that's Patrick Bachelard that's going to come across the line. There he goes. It is an improvement there for Bachelard, but not enough to move him ahead of Berthiaume. About 36, about 200ths of a second. As a little courtesy crash there. Some fun in the sim, but that is going to go ahead and bring us over to our starting grid here, which we should be able to bring you in just a few moments' time. It's going to be Justin Ream lining up in pole position. Owen Watts to his outside, and Michael Diaz right behind them. It's a new name, Hernan Gonzalez there in P4, followed by Marvin Freyas. A good qualifying there for the privateer, followed by Francis Castillo-Romero in P6. P7 will be Adam Brockway, followed by Fernando Yaquez. Then it'll be Guillaume Berthiaume with a last-minute lap to get him up into P9. Patrick Bachelard unable to improve. He'll start in 10th. Then it's Gabriel Gignac, followed by Kyle Kammer in P12. P13 will be Artie Mercedes, followed by Chase Brown with Jean-Marc Tremblay and Darren Rutherford in the row behind them. Dean Giroux will start off 17th, followed by Sean Mulholland in 18th. 19th will be Johnny Luna, and William Brennan rounds out your top 20. Hitting blackjack, it's going to be Drew Libke, followed by Brett Kunkari, and then Matthew Miles and Tim Collier round out your top 24. At the quarter century mark, it will be Liam Park, followed by Matthew Wyckoff with David Slee and Corey Clark behind them. Brian Hoskins starts off 29th, followed by Austin Harris in 30th. 31st will be Nicholas Colander. A big field today here, Joey, and thank goodness, because this is a big circuit for them to get around. We will have a full pace lap to be able to get everything up to temperature, and I think the drivers are going to be a little bit happy with that, as it is a little bit on the chilly side here. We are just at about 9:45 a.m. virtual standard time, and track temperature down at about 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
70 degrees in Florida. That is very cold by Florida standards. It was 70 degrees here in Pittsburgh today. You go outside, people are wearing shorts and t-shirts because that's warm. But you go to California and it's 71 degrees. You go to Florida and it's 71 degrees, and people are wearing like 15 layers. So there's always a difference. But the drivers are going to be pretty happy with that temperature, all bundled up in their cars here. They're probably not going to be too happy about the full pace lap, though, because it's a very long pace lap here. It gets a little bit frustrating, a little bit anxious when you're just sitting there waiting to go for like 3 minutes.
Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, it was certainly a lot warmer than 71 degrees when I was in Sebring back in September. I think it was about 117 degrees when I was walking around very hot conditions. As we take a look through the field here, Hernan Gonzalez lining up there in 4th position in that number 3. Everybody waiting here for the rest of the grid to grid on up. What are some of your keys here today, Joey, that is going to mean that these drivers are going to be able to do well? Obviously, the draft is going to be of importance, and I got to think consistency as well.
Consistency is always rewarded at Sebring because there are walls, there is grass, there's huge curves. They all will bite if you take too much of them, and you really need to keep it between the white lines. It sounds like a cliche, but we say it at every track, and that's because it is always true, and it's especially true at Sebring, where it's an old-style circuit. It's a very classic track. Mistakes are heavily punished. It's hard to make passes, but it is very easy to keep a car behind if you can keep it on the track and you don't make any mistakes.
Yes, exactly. Some good points here today, and we're going to have to see if that consistency plays out. I'm also going to be a little bit interested to see what the car differences are going to be, because the first, second, and third sectors of this lap are wildly different from one another. First sector, a lot of high-speed corners that you have to go through and be able to fling the cars through. The second sector, it's a lot of medium to low-speed corners and not a lot of straightaways. And then that third sector primarily dominated by the Ullman Straight, and then the high-speed curve that is Sunset Bend. So we're going to have to see where that the discrepancy in the balance of performance kind of plays itself out here between these different classes of driver. It's going to be very fascinating to see. And that's going to be one of the big passing zones that we keep our eyes on, going down into the hairpin by the Sebring 7 Hotel. Great views there from the hotel if you're able to get a room there to be able to check out the racing on the track. As everybody now comes back down through the Fangio chicane. This is going to be the part of the circuit, I think, where you're going to see a lot of single file. You've got to be very brave if you want to make a move up in this area.
I'm just wondering if there's any hotels at racetracks that you haven't been in, DJ. Seems like you got all the best views.
It's been a good year.
It has indeed been a good year. Now wait until we get to mid-Ohio in a couple weeks. We're talking about the views of the decrepit wooden garages. That'll be some real good stuff there.
Yes, indeed it will. That's one that I still have yet to check off of my list. So hopefully next year I will be able to get my way out to mid-Ohio. But a bit strange considering I only grew up about 3 hours away from there. I never made it out. But certainly on my bucket list. But that is for a different time. That's in about 2-3 weeks' time here for this series, and 1 week's time for the MX-5 series. Right now we've got to focus on Sebring as drivers work their way through Jean de Bienne right now. Another high-speed, high-commitment corner that you've got to get set up right, because it leads on to what I will argue is one of the most important corners on the track, this Le Mans curve that you've really got to nail to make sure you carry the maximum amount of speed down the Ullman Straight.
It's not the longest straight in the world, but it is the longest straight on the track, so it's the best place to just get in the draft, to close that gap down. Once you actually get to the back of the driver coming into Sunset Bend, that's when it gets a little bit more difficult, because you've got to actually decide how you're going to make the move. It's hard to send it to the inside. It's hard to send it to the outside. You basically just throw it in and hope the car sticks and hope the driver in front of you makes a mistake. But you do want to be as close to them as humanly possible, and that is why that second to last corner is really rewarded.
Yes, it is. As Justin Ream and Owen Watts lead the field now down into Sunset, getting ready to go racing here at Sebring. All eyes turn from the iRacing pace car, which scampers off down pit lane to Barney the Flagman. And here we get ready to go as Ream gets on the loud pedal, and we get racing here in Sebring. A very good getaway from Ream, but a good one from Watts as well. Gonzalez and Diaz are going to remain side by side, and they're going to try to swallow up Owen Watts here as they dive down into turn one. Almost contact there, but front to back between Watts and Gonzalez, but the first couple of rows keep everything nice and clean. I see a Mercedes spinning a little bit, getting a little bit sideways. I think that was actually Artie Mercedes almost getting out of whack there, but it looks like the most of the field is able to get through nice and cleanly.
Adam Brockwade's also been bullied a little bit further back, qualified 7th. He's lost a couple of spots. Owen Watts almost loses it there in turn 5. He clipped the dirt just a little bit, got a little bit wiggly, and that has extended that gap up Justin Ream quite a bit. Let's see if Michael Diaz sends it to the inside of him. The door's open now, but Michael elects not to go for it.
No, indeed, it looks like none out of that first 5 or 6 opts to go for the move down into hairpin. I don't know how long that's going to stick for the rest of the drivers here as they work their way away. And what all that squabbling is really allowed to do is allowed for Justin Ream to scamper off into the distance here. He's got a gap of about 9/10 of a second up at the front of the field. But we keep our eyes focused here on this battle in the back. Owen Watts working his way around ahead of Michael Diaz. That gap about 5/10 here. Gonzalez, Francis Castillo Romero up 1 position. Frias down 1. Jaquez up 1. Bachelard up 2.
Manufacturers very, very evenly represented here in the top 10. There's 3 McLarens, 2 Aston Martins, 2 BMWs, 2 Mercedes, and 1 Porsche. That's every single GT4 manufacturer all finding each other in the top 10. Watching the field flow through there. It looks like it's been a clean lap 1 for basically everybody, even a few of those drivers who didn't qualify. I think there was just 1 who started at the back of the field who didn't qualify. We've got 32 cars on track still.
Yes, we do. Everybody keeping it clean and green here. A couple of drivers poking their nose this way and that. Gabriel Gignac looking like he lost a few positions there coming through the final corner as we watch this field of GT4 streaking their way down. A little bit of side by side, a little bit of 3 wide coming down into the corner. Careful, boys. That has a real tendency to get nasty, but somehow they're all able to keep it together and keep it clean.
Somehow is the perfect word there, because I don't know how they got away with 3 wide on lap 1. Marvin Frias found some kind of immaculate speed coming into Sunset there and was able to actually clear the 3 wide with Bachelard and Jaquez there. So that's kind of what resolved that. He's going to try and run away, but these guys are fighting very, very hard. They know it's tough to pass at Sebring. They know they have to take advantage of these early chances.
Yes, they do, as we watch the 26 there of Jaquez trying to hold off any onslaught from behind him. Jaquez with Bachelard coming up close behind him. Bachelard up 2 on the day, one of the bigger movers here, although the biggest mover right now is Anthony Dring, who's up 6 positions. Jerome Britsiome just lost a position a little bit farther in the back of the pack, as here they come down through Gurney Bend. Let's see if anybody decides to poke their nose out. A little bit of side-by-side further in the back of the pack right now as they run. It looks like the top 7 or so are going to be side-by-side, are going to be single file and okay. A little bit farther back, that's the 66 of Chase Brown, I think losing out of position to Kyle Kammer.
McLaren seems to be better than the Aston Martin, at least for the moment here. Kyle Kammer in that McLaren, that all-black McLaren with a little bit of a kind of Patronus teal aspects there. Looking like a very, very interesting motor vehicle, but he is fighting with Chase Brown as Jerome Berthiaume just tries to hang on here. Maybe artificially high in the order with that huge draft he got in qualifying from his two teammates. So this might be the natural order of things that Jerome's fallen back a little bit, but he's going to try and form a Jerome train with everybody behind him and hope that Kammer and Brown keep fighting so he can stick with him.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to be hoping for here, and right behind him is going to be Darren Rutherford in one of those McLarens that have looked particularly fierce around here as we follow on board Berthiaume through Jean de Vienne right now and down through Le Mans, picking up speed onto the long Ulmann straightaway. I can tell you that up at the front of the field, Ream has not been able to scamper away too much. The gap coming down to about 0.4 of a second right now. Owen Watts doing a great job of keeping this close.
Ream only really got that gap because the guys behind him were too busy fighting, but they were able to resolve it very, very early, and Owen Watts has just been able to run his own race here. He's been able to bring this gap down. I don't know if Justin Ream's doing any saving here. That's always what we have to talk about in this GT4 Fix series. The first stanza of the race is always a little bit of a save fest. It's always a little bit of a strategy fest with drivers trying to get that shortest possible stop once the pit cycle rolls around. I don't know if that's what Justin Ream is doing right now. I don't know if Owen Watts is just faster, but just got to watch them and see if Owen Watts actually elects to go for this move.
Yeah, we'll have to see indeed as they work their way through turn 2 and now down through Gurney Bend, waiting to see if that move is going to fire off. Not a whole lot of movement down in the back. I did see Hernan Gonzalez getting a little bit squirrely, but we'll keep our eyes here for now. As here they come, the gap coming down under 0.3 of a second. It doesn't look like Owen Watts has any desire to try to poke his nose at the inside and make a move, so they're going to stay in line. They are dropping Michael Diaz here as they run. Diaz is down about 1.4 seconds to this leading pair.
And Owen Watts might not necessarily have a reason to pass because, as I mentioned, there's always strategies to be played here. If he has more speed than Ream, he might think, you know what, I'm just going to hang back here for the moment. I'm going to save a little bit of fuel down the straights. I might be able to lift a little bit earlier in the braking zones, and I might be able to save some fuel and actually pass Justin Ream when the pit cycle comes around. But I don't think that's actually going to be the case because he seems to be so much quicker that he might actually lose himself to Michael Diaz, but a little bit further back, a little bit earlier. That's what happened to Darren Rutherford. If you saw him falling down the order, that was a crazy accident. That's one of the longest accidents I've ever seen at Sebring. He was wrecking for a solid 10 seconds there.
Yes, he was, and that definitely did get a little bit scary, but here comes Owen Watts. Speaking of scary, that's got to be a little bit of fear put into the back of Justin Ream. Gap at 0.3 of a second. We're going to take a look at the replay here farther back down in the field. That's the 121 machine. Oh, getting caught up in the two twin Mercedes. They are getting it all wrong, and that's going to send a couple of cars spinning around as we check back in on the lead of the race. Watts either not wanting to or not able to get that move done here on Justin Ream. They're going to stay 1-2 for another lap.
I can only imagine how Sebring felt, DJ, when it was 117 degrees, because I'm just seeing the reflection of the sun on our production feed here, and I already feel like I'm going blind. I feel like I'm getting sunburned behind my own desk here. But Owen Watts is getting burnt by the sun at Justin Ream into turn 1, because he can't close that gap down much more than about 2.5 tenths. He's literally to the bumper of that Porsche. But Justin Ream is doing a masterful job here. He's made no mistakes. He's not opened the door at all for Owen Watts, even if he doesn't want to make the move. He's been holding him back here, at least for the first couple of laps.
Yeah, it's down about 0.5 tenth here as they come out of Big Bend. That's about the smallest gap that we've really seen them run for the last couple of laps here, as now they come down, and again, Watts just going to get onto the binders behind Justin Ream. No real sense of urgency to be able to get on by, and I especially think because they have that gap about 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds now to Michael Diaz, they're not going to be in too much of a hurry to be squabbling. Francis Castillo-Romero continues to run behind Diaz, and then it's Hernan Gonzalez behind them. The gaps from there on back are all under 1 second, so everybody pretty much getting the benefit of the toe off the driver in front of them.
Quite a big train going back, all the way back to Adam Brockway in 9th. There's just about 0.5 second between every single driver, up to a full second. Everybody's just getting a little bit of draft. But let's take a look back actually here at the closest battle on track. These drivers are actually fighting for positions. Johnny Luna tried to take advantage of Jean-Marc Tremblay there. Wasn't quite able to make the move. Dean Giroux, always a spectacular driver to watch. He's always aggressive, so definitely watch for him to try and take advantage of the straight line speed of this BMW down the back straight. If he can get a good exit out of Le Mans in a few corners time. Johnny Luna's been aggressive. He's been trying to get by Jean-Marc Tremblay, but that might actually slow him down here coming onto the back straight.
It might indeed. And Luna, one of the drivers that is up quite a number of spots right now, up 5 positions on the day. Oh, connection issues there for Johnny Luna as he disappears for the moment. That's going to put the heart into the mouth there of Dean Giroux, but Giroux going to be able to continue on. We take another look back at the front of the field as Ream continues to lead Watts. The gap now about 2.5 tenths of a second as they cross over the line to start on lap 5. About 30 minutes left to go here in this race. Let's call it just about that as they work their way through turn 1 right now, trying to see what they are able to get going. Behind them, Diaz not quite able to close that in. It looks like it's coming down to about a second as they dive into the braking zone for turn 2, but I don't think it's going to stay at about a second as they continue to work their way around.
That's the critical thing, that Michael Diaz hasn't been catching Owen Watts. So if he doesn't make this move, he's not losing time. Oh, Marvin Frias is in trouble a little bit further back. I saw him falling down the order. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he clipped the grass in the exit of turn 1. It looks like he didn't take anybody with him, so it's a single car accident, but oh dear, there it is coming into turn 2 actually. He just barely clipped the grass on the entry, and McLaren just looped around, took a little bit of a bite out of the wall. He'll get away with it, but he's going to get away with minus 10 positions in that.
Oh, and very close running there. That was Johnny Luna. Marvin Frias trying to be able to duke it out a little bit as they went into the hairpin. We said that was going to be a flashpoint over the course of the race. We jump on board right now with Darren Rutherford in the number 21 for Valhalla Motorsports as he tries to close in behind. That's Artie Mercedes and Dean Giroux up ahead of him. Artie maybe looking to the outside there of Cunningham, trying to see if he is able to get anything to go. That's not going to play itself out. Rutherford, though, just positioning himself in good position to try to see if he's able to make a move there going into Tower. Not going to be able to get that one to play, and he's going to have to back off.
Yeah, really killed his exit there. Just that little bit of a dive, tightened the corner up, wasn't able to get the exit that he needed, and now Artie Mercedes is going to pull away by about 5 car lengths or so. See if Darren Rutherford can get back in the rhythm here through these last couple of corners before the Ullman straight. He is back in the rhythm. Unfortunately, everybody else ahead of him is, and I think Dean Giroux and Marvin Frias just came together.
I think that was actually Luna and Giroux that had a little bit of a coming together, a miscommunication coming down through Le Mans, and Marvin Frias was involved in it. You called that absolutely right, Joey. 3 drivers involved in that incident coming off the Le Mans corner.
That's Luna and Frias right there. Dean Giroux was in the background. Luna just kind of punted Frias around. Giroux made it through. Artie Mercedes got a little bit of damage from hitting Johnny Luna as well, so just a messy situation at the final corner. Johnny Luna is always an aggressive driver, and there he is around again at the final corner.
Oh, and I wonder if that's a single car incident, or maybe he dove it in a little bit deep there on the 39. That's going to be contact with Sean Mulholland, and that's going to be enough to send Johnny Luna spinning right around. Looks like he was able to get back out and get back pointed the right way, but he's going to resume back down in 26th position. We take another look at the front of the field, and would you look at that? Justin Ream and Owen Watts have indeed been caught here by Michael Diaz and Francis Castillo-Romero up at the front of the field, and we've now got ourselves a 4-car train.
Owen Watts might start to get a little bit worried now. I was saying that Ream was keeping the gap. He was keeping pace. Owen Watts was keeping with him, and he also wasn't losing time to Diaz behind. He wasn't getting held up. Now that is certainly not the case. Watts is getting held up here, and that's allowing Diaz to come into the fight. It's allowing Francis Castillo-Romero to come into the fight. If they continue to slow each other down, that might allow Hernan Gonzalez to come into the fight as well. You might still not want to make the move, but Justin Ream's going to throw it off the road there. You might still be content to hang back and save a little bit of fuel in this train, but you also don't want to join a 5 or 6 car fight where you might get jumped in the pits.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to try to figure that out here a little bit, so this could change the calculus for Ream and Watts. I wonder here if Owen Watts is maybe going to try to make the pass. This is actually the closest we've seen him at any point in the run. He's less than a tenth of a second behind, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to pull out there, down to the inside, coming down the Ullman straightaway, and it's going to be an old-fashioned drag race down the straight here as they come, and Watts is going to be able to move up into the lead.
Already clear of Justin Ream before they even get into Sunset. That is very, very helpful. You don't need to run side by side through there. Now we'll see if Justin Ream can actually stick with him in the draft. He should be able to, and you have to imagine that Owen Watts might back up a little bit now that he's leading the race, but it's the ultimate challenge for Justin Ream now. He was clearly holding up Owen Watts, and now he has to figure out how to turn that around and figure out how to stick with him.
Well, I wonder here if Ream was maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel up at the front of the field, and now that Watts is up there, he'll be able to save fuel at this point without having to worry about backing anybody up behind him. That would be my best guess based off of Justin Ream. We've got a good little battle here, though. This is Bachelard leading ahead of Brockway and Jaquez. Jaquez actually was a little bit off there coming out of turn 1. He caught things wrong, and that forced him to fall back down. He's going to be in 8th place trying to get a run here on Adam Brockway.
Yeah, Fernando lost to 2 spots, I think, in turn 1. I think I saw Bachelard and Brockway both managed to displace him, and he was trying to recover, but the outside in turn 3 there is always a difficult place to hold a move, so Fernando Jaquez is falling back a little bit further. Justin Ream is sticking with Owen Watts, so I think you might be right, DJ. I think he might have just been saving a little bit of fuel out front. He might actually be content to run in second here, because that means he gets to save even more behind Owen Watts. But also, it's only been about half a lap, so I'm not sure. Owen Watts might still be able to run away with this, just like he has for the last 2 weeks.
We will have to see 26 minutes left to go here in this race. About 15 minutes in the books as these drivers continue to work their way around Sebring International Raceway right now. Owen Watts leading the way. Justin Ream trying to chase it behind them. Michael Diaz and Francis Castillo Romero throw a blanket over the top 4 right now as they are all separated by less than a second as they continue to work their way around. Now here comes the draft down the Ullman straightaway. Looks like Ream took a little bit more momentum there around that corner, trying to take as much as he can around the outside, and he is going to close up to the back of Owen Watts here at this point. But how close is he going to get? How close is he going to want to get to the back of that Mercedes?
There was definitely a lift there a little bit early as he was closing in. He definitely lifted off. You could see the gap expand just a teensy little bit at the end of the straight, so probably not going to be saving that much fuel doing that, but he's certainly trying something. He's certainly saving a little bit in second here. And he's probably not actually going to go for the move on Owen Watts here. He's going to be content to make that move in the pits once the cycle kicks off in a little bit of time. Fernando Jaquez is going to kick off the pit cycle, apparently, with 24 minutes to go, which is a little bit early, but he might want to minimize his losses after going off a little bit a lap ago.
Yeah, and sometimes we see drivers do that. If you are within the pit window, even if it is a little bit early, you come down into pit lane, you just kind of get a little bit of a mental reset, and that can be very, very important to do to try to get yourself okay. It also looks like Jean-Marc Tremblay is also coming down into pit lane, so that's going to be 2 drivers pulling off and taking on into the pits. Owen Watts keeps ahead in the lead here. Ream not poking his nose to the inside, down into the hairpin. Diaz and Castillo. Romero keeping it together. A little bit of side-by-side farther in the back between Brockway and Bachelard. They're still scrapping it out here a little bit as they come down into the corners. Here they come. It's Aston Martin versus Aston Martin. YS Motorsports versus a privateer, and it looks like there the Brockway's going to be able to hold that out for now.
Yeah, they went side-by-side through the hairpin, and Brockway basically had that move made, and then down into Cunningham there. Just completely solved it. Brockway can set his sights forward now. Brockway's in championship contention. He's not having a very good day today, though, by his standards. 6th place, fighting for 6th and 7th is not what he needs to do when his championship rivals are all up there fighting for 2nd and 3rd and 4th and maybe even 1st. Owen Watts might be in contention for the title.
Yeah, very much so. We'll have to see how it plays out, though, there as we jump back a little bit farther into the field right now, as this is the Porsche of Brett Puncari leading a little bit of a train here as they work their way through. This is 21st. Puncari leading Hoskins, leading Frias, and they're starting to catch up to the back here of Nicholas Colander and Austin Harris.
I think I heard from Brett Puncari. Oh, yep, I did indeed hear correctly from Brett Puncari that there would be a little bit of a Halloween surprise. It's 1 week early. We will be racing on Halloween next week on October 31st, but Brett Puncari has debuted his costume 1 week early, and frankly, DJ, I think it looks peachy.
I see what you did there. That's nice. But Puncari right now has his eyes set on a move on Nicholas Colander. He's going to try to go around the outside of Sunset. You can see there the VR user looking to the inside, trying to see if he's got that line. Colander trying to be able to hold it out. Michael Diaz going to be the latest driver to duck down into pit lane. But we've got to keep our eyes focused on this battle. Puncari not really able to get that move done. He's going to have to tuck back into line here and see if he's able to get the draft done and into turn 1.
He's Gonna peek to the inside. The door's kind of open on Nicholas Collender. Collender's gonna take a very, very wide line, sweep it very, very wide. But that BMW keeps the advantage there. Pancari, he thought he had a shot. I think Nicholas Collender knew that there wasn't really a shot for Brett there, but Collender overcooks the corner a little bit. Both of these drivers have been kind of weaker and stronger at opposite portions of the track. They've both been meeting in the middle. All of Collender's mistakes aren't quite matched by Pancari, and all of Pancari's mistakes aren't quite matched by Collender, so they're kind of evening out.
Well, and look at that relaxation there from Pancari on the straightaway, putting his hand up on the top of the wheel, just kind of relaxing. That is exactly the kind of mentality that you need to have if you are a driver. You want to take the adrenaline out of it. You don't want to be white-knuckling the entire way around here. You want to let the car drive itself as much as possible. And that, to me, tells me that Pancari is in the zone and he's feeling good right now.
Well, I'm not feeling good right now because I just realized I just read the side of that car. That car says Princess Daisy. He's not Peach, he's Daisy. That's a critical error, DJ. How am I ever going to get past this?
You know, something tells me you just might be able to. I'm not entirely sure, but I think
I can't get past that. This is the worst mistake I've ever made. I'm going to leave the booth right now.
Please don't. I don't know if I can do this solo.
I'm so sorry, Brett. I'm so sorry. I have to do this. Anyway. It's good to see him using the Ted Lowendick school of screwing around with Zoom. And next week, Brett, bring that back on actual Halloween, and I promise I will get my Nintendo characters right.
All right, there you go. All right, here comes one of your leaders again, Justin Ream, down into pit lane right at about the halfway point in this race. Pancari, though, is now gone from attack to defense here to attack again. He's going to get the move done on Nicholas Collender, but I think that's Hoskins trying to make it work. Now Collender is going to be trying to fight him back. Pancari able to send it in deep into Sunset. A little bit of a close run there behind. That was a McLaren poking his nose down to the inside, and they pulled off into pit lane as that got very scary, and that is indeed a McLaren spun around there. That's Marvin Frias around again.
Marvin Frias has had a hellish day, unfortunately. There he is in the final corner. He's going to take this time to just bring it down pit road. You know, might as well. You've already lost this much time. And Brian Hoskins, by the way, in that red BMW, I almost didn't recognize him. He's finally out of that gray Mercedes for the first time. We watch Brett Pancari as he just sits here in the pits. It is such a sight to see with Daisy with VR. It's not so much Brett Pancari as Daisy. That's normal by PRL standards, but the VR Daisy, that's something you don't see every day.
No, it certainly is not. But Pancari's going to be able to get back out onto track right now. I believe that's David Slee directly up in front of him that just moved on by. We take a look here, though, as this is Chase Brown leading a little bit of a train. Kyle Kammer, Dean Giroux, and Jerome Bertiome here as they work their way through the back half of the circuit right now. We jump on board with the 124 of RD Mercedes as he is tailing Charlie on this pack, but he is going to be getting a double, triple, quadruple draft up in front of him. That's going to be massively helpful.
The Mercedes known for being pretty good in a straight line. I don't think it's the best of the 5 in a straight line, but it can certainly do some work in a straight line. He's got a great exit here out of Le Mans. Unfortunately, Jerome Bertiome has also gotten a decent exit, and he also has 3 cars in front of him to steal some draft off of. So you don't get DRS trains in GT4s. No DRS has been innovated for the GT4s yet, even though we do drive past the DRS sign every lap on the Ullman Straight. But you still find yourself in a draft train where you're basically just locked here, basically waiting for everybody to make a mistake. But here comes more of our leaders onto pit road.
Yeah, Francis Castillo-Romero and Hernan Gonzalez both coming in. Also looks like Chase Brown, Kyle Kammer, Dean Giroux, Jerome Bertiome, Artie Mercedes, and Sean Mulholland. All of them opting to come down into pit lane. That's going to leave Watts, Bachelard, Brockway, and Rutherford out there. Looks like William Brennan is also going to choose to stay out. Looks like the majority of the field coming down here just past the halfway point in this race. What's going to be interesting to see here is that we've got some pretty big discrepancy between some of our leaders at this point, between the likes of Watts and Justin Ream and Michael Diaz. So I'm going to be very, very curious to see how that's going to play itself out with them coming down a lot earlier than Owen Watts did. Ream is the one leading the way in that train, but it looks like that train has stayed relatively consistent as we take a look here at the number 100, Patrick Bachelard, who still has Adam Brockway for company behind him.
Yeah, Bachelard got back by Adam Brockway. I didn't really expect that. I thought Adam Brockway would be able to just drive ahead and drive off into the sunset a little bit. No pun intended. There is a corner called Sunset here. But Adam, again, has to fight with his fellow Aston Martin. They're both going to be losing even more time. And some of those drivers that came in before them, Hernan Gonzalez, Fernando Jaquez, even Jean-Marc Tremblay, some of those drivers who were in that train in the lower stages of the top 10, if Bachelard and Brockway keep fighting, they might be able to jump them too.
Yeah, they very well may be able to do just that. So let's see. I've got to imagine here that Watts, Bachelard, Brockway, Rutherford, Brennan, all of them are probably going to respond here. Also, Liam Park is the other driver here who has yet to make a pit stop. So there are 6 drivers that have yet to come down in. And I've got to imagine here that they're probably going to be seeing themselves come down into pit lane in this lap. I'll be amazed if they keep it out here for another lap. And indeed, it does look like your leader, Owen Watts, will pull it down pit lane. Now, what's the question going to be for Bachelard and Brockway? Looks like both of the Aston Martins will come down as well. So now it's going to be a battle of the virtual pit crews here for Owen Watts to see if they're able to get that Mercedes refueled and back out onto track.
And this tells us that this is basically the hard limit of the fuel tank. The Sebring's a very, very long lap. It's almost impossible to extend it an extra lap when nobody else can. So everybody else should come in. Rutherford, former Supreme Court Justice William Brennan should be in. But we watch Owen Watts, rather. We watch for the Jacks. It was 19.9 seconds for Justin Ream. It was 18.6 for Michael Diaz. The clock ticks and ticks and ticks and ticks. It's only 18 seconds. It was almost in the 17s. Owen Watts is going to win this race off pit road easily.
Very easily, as there is Justin Ream, and you can see that red Mercedes up ahead of him in the form of Owen Watts, waiting for that gap to finally come down and to see where we're going to figure this out. It looks like it's going to end up being about 2.5 seconds. Pit stop strategy perfectly executed here for the 114 of Owen Watts.
Now, does Justin Ream have 2 seconds of pace in the tank to bring that gap down? Good question. I don't know, but he's got 15 minutes to figure it out, and that's actually a longer time than we normally have in the second stanzas of this race. Normally we get about 10 minutes at the end of the race where everybody finally goes full song. But luckily for Justin Ream, the way the strategy has shaken out here with the long laps at Sebring, he's at least got time to find some pace here and try and chase down Owen Watts.
And that's going to be the question here, is if he is able to get the speed to chase him down. Now, the other problem is going to be is that chasing him is one thing, but catching him and passing him is going to be another. We've seen some of the difficulty that does exist around here to get that pass done. Yes, there are opportunities, but if you want to put up a fight, you can make it very, very difficult to be able to get a pass done here on the bumpy confines of Sebring. Continue to watch here Justin Ream as he works his way around right now. He's already got that gap down a little bit. He's put in some good times here. It's down to about 1.7 seconds. So let's go ahead and call that what it is. He was able to take out another 0.2 there in the 5th microsector of the lap. He looks like he's got a little bit of that speed here, Joey. I think he may be trying to charge in.
And Owen Watts is definitely feeling the pressure. You saw him kick up a little bit of dirt on exit a few corners ago. Through Le Mans as well. Justin Ream much, much quicker. They are going to meet on track here, I think. I don't think this is a fluke. I think Justin Ream definitely has pace in this car. But as you said, it's easy to catch him. It's easy to bring that gap down. It is much, much more difficult to make the move, and it's much, much more difficult to do that at Sebring especially. And when you're in the Porsche, that might be a little bit slower in a straight line than the Mercedes. It kind of depends on the BOP in this series. It's going to be an uphill battle, but Justin Ream's won a race this season. He can definitely do it again.
We've got a little bit of side-by-side here. Kyle Cameron, Artie Mercedes going down into sunset as we ride on board with Jean-Marc Tremblay, who's in the popcorn position. That was almost a little bit of contact there between Mercedes and Kamer. As they're going to be able to sort themselves out. But the BMW driver, that's Jerome Berthiaume, trying to get out of the way of all of that coming together as they're going to sort themselves out. Finally, looks like a little bit of a look in the back from Darren Rutherford, but he wasn't going to be able to get anything done. Up ahead of them, we've got another little fight going on as this is going to be the Aston Martin of Chase Brown, Jerome Berthiaume, and Dean Giroux.
And I think even further ahead, Adam Brockway and Bachelard have been side by side for about half a lap. We might need to look at a replay of that a couple of minutes from now, because that looks like it's absolutely insane. But on your screens, these BMWs are putting on an even more insane battle. Berthiaume, Giroux, all trying to chase down Chase Brown in that Aston Martin. The train always scares me coming into the hairpin because they're always checking up. There's always different braking distances, but there's that Brockway-Bachelard battle. If you've been watching the ticker, these two have literally been side by side for this entire lap, and they're still not done.
No, they are not done at all, but a little bit of a hip check there from Brockway to Bachelard as they came down through Collier Curve, and now it looks like it's going to be Bachelard able to hold out ahead for the moment. But you are right, Joey, that was side by side from turn 1 all the way up into the tower turn. My goodness gracious, I'm amazed that there was only that little bit of contact there between the two of them.
Just a little bit of GT4 rubbing, nothing unseen at Sebring. They both almost flipped their Aston Martins there as they clip the curbs coming into Le Mans. They're being very, very aggressive with the track here, and now Brockway's got the draft here down the Ullman Straight. Both of these cars completely identical, as it is a fixed series. They're both in Aston Martins. I think the gap might be a little bit too big for him to actually make the move this time. But if this next lap is anything like that last lap, Brockway's going to be fighting it very, very hard. He's closing it down through Sunset. He might have a shot to make it side by side again through turn 1.
Yeah, he might. He looked a lot better on the binders there, going down into the final corner as they now come across the start-finish line. The draft continuing to play out. By the way, the gap at the front of the field has come down by about 0.3 of a second. But here comes the number 42 of Brockway looking to go around the outside. I think Bachelard has got that covered off. Is he going to try to look back to the inside here? No, he's going to keep his nose right where he wants it. Not going to try to make a move here through turn 2 is Brockway. Brockway now crowns a little bit of the curb there as they work their way up through turn 2 now. Coming down into the corner here through Big Bend. Is he going to have a little bit of a look into the hairpin? We saw this move play out before. The gap coming down under 0.2 of a second as the draft comes into play here for Adam Brockway. Moving to the outside, moving to the inside was Bachelard. Here comes Brockway later on the binders, trying to be at least later on the binders. He's going to get side by side as he tried to feed out Bachelard coming up through Fangio Curve. It doesn't look like he's going to do it. They're going to stay side by side, and Bachelard is able to hold on yet again.
I was questioning Bachelard's decision to open up the inside for Brockway there, but I think that was actually kind of a calculated move. He gave himself the outside in the hairpin, which is actually optimal on exit. You can get better acceleration, you can get a straighter line, and he did exactly that. And he was able to stay ahead of Brockway at least for a moment. Brockway's going to dive into the inside again into Tower. Not going to work, though. Bachelard's going to hang on for another lap, but this battle is not letting up, and I don't think it's going to let up for 10 more minutes because they've got Hernan Gonzalez behind to join the fray, too.
Yes, they do, and Gonzalez certainly looks like he is very, very feisty, wanting to get involved in that. Brockway a little bit later on the binders there, coming down into Jean Debienne as they now work their way through Le Mans right now, bringing the car around, trying to see what they are able to do. They're going to get onto the loud pedals here as they work their way down the Ullman straightaway. By the way, up at the front of the field, Justin Ream has been caught by Owen Watts. We'll keep you updated on that, but we've got to keep our eyes focused here because here comes Brockway. He may finally have the move done. Down to the inside of Sunset. He's got to try to wind this up just right and get the exit. And dare I say, he's got it.
He has got it. Bachelard got a little bit chunka there in the Sunset. He was bouncing a little bit on the curbs on the inside, but he is able to keep it close to Brockway. He's going to be able to put on an attack here into turn 1. He's going to peek to the inside. Brockway's going to be far better on the turn in, though. Bachelard's been a little bit better on exit, though. He might have a shot into turn 3 here. If he wants to take it, he's not going to take it. He's going to be forced to the outside by Brockway's defense. Brockway does have this position now, but like I said, this is not giving up, and they're side by side for the lead.
Yes, they are. We've got to jump our way up to the battle for the lead here because here comes Justin Ream trying to make the move down into the hairpin. Later on the binders is the 912 Porsche. He's going to try to feed out Owen Watts there into a little bit of the dust. That's not going to work. Almost banging doors as they exit out of the corner and go through the Fangio chicane. This is a near repeat of what we saw out of Bachelard and Brockway. This is going to be line favored here to Justin Ream if he can get the binders right going into Cunningham. And they're trying to carry more speed around the outside is Owen Watts. Watts is going to have the preferred line here as they work their way through Collier, and Ream's got to give up the ghost and try another time.
Definitely going to be waiting here for the back straight for a great exit out of Le Mans. Through Tower here, Ream a little bit too good of an exit there, throws it off the road, kicks up a little bit of dirt. No harm, no foul, though. That seemed like he was able to take the same amount of speed he would have been otherwise through the same corner again. Bachelard goes around the outside of Adam Brockway. This is incredible racing.
And we can't keep our eyes focused on both of these. It's absolutely remarkable, and that's going to allow for Fernando. That's going to allow for the McLaren there of Hernan Gonzalez to be able to catch up to the back of that and split the difference there. We've got a split screen as they go. Does Ream dare try a move into sunset? I think he looks a little far back here at this point, but they've got to be careful up at the front of the field. If they get too feisty, that is Michael Diaz about 0.7 of a second behind him.
Diaz definitely wants to join this fight. He's a championship contender. He has no drop weeks because last week he was away doing a far more important thing, celebrating his birthday, but he's back and he's still fighting for this championship. And him and Justin Ream, they've got a little bit of history this season. At Daytona, they came together. They both gave Adam Brockway an easy win. At Road Atlanta, they had a little bit of argy-bargy. They had a couple of arguments in the protest center. They might meet again here, but they've both got to focus on the grand scheme of things and not fight each other too hard to let Owen Watts run away.
No, they can't. As we look back a little bit farther in the field, this is Dean Giroux and Kyle Kammer as they work their way down into turn one. That is going to be Giroux in the BMW trying to hold out Kammer there in the McLaren, trying to work around the outside directly in front of them. That is Jerome Berthiaume. Here's another battle for the lead, though, as that was Ream trying to take a look around the outside there of the hairpin. That's not going to play out. And now I'm going to dare say this, that Michael Diaz has officially joined into this fight.
Michael Diaz has officially joined into this fight, and he's hoping that these two kind of run each other off of the road a little bit. It's going to be difficult to make the move on both of them here if they're just fighting like this, because they've been very respectful of each other. They've been blocking the track a little bit, and they haven't actually been slowing each other down that much whilst they've been fighting. Michael Diaz's hope is that not just one door opens, but both of these doors open. Maybe it's sunset, they both send it in a little bit too deep, and Diaz can pick up both of those pieces, but those are all theoretical. All he can do right now is just hang back in third, don't make any mistakes of your own, and hope that Watts and Ream do make those mistakes and open the door for you.
Yeah, exactly. As they work their way through Jean de Bienne right now, Ream, we ride on board of the hood of the number 912 Porsche here, the geodesic driver, trying to get a good launch there out of Le Mans. Looks like they both got that corner just about perfectly. The gap's going to be about 2.5 of a second. The draft is making that come down a little bit here for Justin Ream as he tries to push ahead here. Is he going to take a late poke to the inside going into sunset? He certainly thought about it, and he's almost on a little bit of a fade line there, trying to keep to the inside of Owen Watts, seeing if he can force him out, and that's going to be a little bit of a bumpier path there for Justin Ream, but it's going to allow him to pull up semi alongside. Now maybe a little bit of a lift. He's going to fall back into line here. Only about 1/10 of a second separating the two. Now Ream's going to look to the inside of turn one. Tries to be later on the binders is the Porsche driver. He's going to try to go for it, but Watts is going to be able to carry speed around the outside, and I don't know if that's going to work out. Watts gets a little bit squirrely there onto the grass. Does Ream dare try a move into turn two? No, he's going to stay in line for now.
Both of these drivers are feeling the pressure. That was an incredible send into sunset for Justin Ream. And Owen Watts again makes a mistake. And again, in turn 5 there, throws it off the road just a little bit. He is under pressure here from Michael Diaz and Justin Ream. We might go 3 wide into the hairpin here. Here comes Michael Diaz in the BMW. He's actually going to elect to push Justin Ream a little bit to think about the race win. He actually helps Justin Ream out a little bit instead of sending it 3 wide. And he's going to let his two rivals battle side by side again.
I think that's a good strategy, and now the positions are flipped from what we saw in earlier. Ream's going to have to go the long way around some of these corners, but now Diaz is getting involved into this conversation as well, maybe preventing Owen Watts from being able to do anything. Ream's going to have the preferred line. A little bit of front-to-rear contact between the 912 and the 114 as they came down into the corner, but Ream looks like he's got the move done for now.
For now is the key word, though. Justin Ream may have finally retaken the lead of this race over Owen Watts, but Owen Watts is not going anywhere. They both get a little bit out of shape through tower there. A little bit of a drift from Watts, a little bit of overextension from Justin Ream. Michael Diaz kind of knows here that he's boxed in. He can't really do anything here other than hope for some doors to open ahead of him. If he makes a move on Owen Watts, if he makes a move on the second place driver, he slows them both down and kind of ends both of their chances for the victory. So he can't really go for that, but there's going to be 2 laps to go at the line. Opportunities are running out for everybody in the top 4.
Yeah, they really and truly are, and you called that right. 2 laps to go at the line here, as now Owen Watts certainly aware of that. Going to take a look to the outside of sunset. A little bit strange. This is the line that lost him that position coming down into there. Ream able to dive it in. Watts looking for a little bit of a crossover. There may have been a little bit of contact there, but that was a brilliant move from Owen Watts to get the crossover done and get the pass here with 2 laps to go. But Ream's not done. Ream fights back.
That was one of the best crossovers I've ever seen through Sunset. That was incredible, but it's not over yet. Owen Watts retakes the lead. He technically led that lap, so Justin Ream technically hasn't retaken the lead of this race, but we saw what he did on the last lap. We saw that he was able to retake the lead at the hairpin. Owen Watts has struggled through turn 5 every single lap. He's extending it a little bit too much. Let's see if he makes the same mistake again here. No, much tidier, much better exit, but Ream's still there.
Ream's going to close up behind here. The gap only about a second. No car length separating them. Ream's going to poke out to what will be the outside of the hairpin here. Almost contact as they work their way down the straightaway now. Coming down into the hairpin. Ream looks to be a nose ahead, but that's going to be the longer way to go. And he almost loses it off into the grass. And he's going to have to slot back into line. But Diaz says, no, 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 I want that position. And now it's a battle for P2. Diaz falls back a little bit. Ream's going to keep his sights ahead, I think. Not really caring too much about what Diaz does. Ream's going to have a little bit of a dive here going down into Cunningham. Is that going to play itself out? He's going to carry a little bit more speed, but Watts has got the momentum, forces Ream out wide a little bit. Ream's got to try to recover, and Diaz comes back into the equation, and now it's a battle for P2.
Ream's been going for aggressive moves now. He knows that there's only one more lap to go at the line. He knows he has to go for moves at places where you don't normally make them. That's why he went for that huge lunge at Cunningham. It didn't work out, but it was worth a shot, and you're going to be seeing a lot of those swings by Justin Ream. He gets to the outside of Watts again. This is going to be crazy stuff down the back straight. You might see that 3 wide to Sunset.
Well, and look at this. Francis Castillo-Romero has officially joined the party in P4. Now the top 4 separated by less than a second as they work their way down the backstretch here on the Ullman straightaway. You saw a little bit of bobbing there from Owen Watts trying to be able to break the draft of Justin Ream, but Ream was wise to it. He's going to have to go the long way around Sunset now as he goes into the corner. Working through here as they go side by side. Interior line to Owen Watts. Exterior line to Justin Ream. Ream now looking at a little bit of a crossover, trying to carry as much momentum as possible. We ride on board here, the number 17 of Michael Diaz as he's in the popcorn position to all of this, and the white flag is in the air as they go side by side down into turn 1. It looks like Watts is later on the brakes. Ream tries to be able to hold it out, and they're going to go back into single file here as they work their way through 1.
Diaz tried to get both of them on a huge switchback. It didn't work, and now he's going to fight with Justin Ream for second here. This is exactly what Owen Watts needs, but that's not what Owen Watts needs. They resolved it after 1 corner. Justin Ream gets to keep his fight up here through turn 5 for the final time. Owen Watts doesn't make the mistake he's always made, but again, that Porsche of Justin Ream has been very slippery in a straight line. He will have another shot into the hairpin here, and that's where he loves to try and make a move.
Ooh, a little bit of a juke there to see if he could throw Owen Watts offline, but he's going to stay in single file order here as they come out of the hairpin. A little bit of a wide run there for Ream as they crossed over in through the chicane. Now they work their way up here through Fangio, and it looks like Ream is starting to challenge. This has been the part of the track that has seemed to have suited him. He's going to try to go around the outside here of Cunningham. No, backs it off, looking to try to square off the corner a little bit and maybe get a better blast here through Collier Curve. He's going to try to carry everything that he can down into Tower. I don't think he's going to have a poke here, Joey. This is going to be a setup down into the Ullman straight and onto Sunset.
This is calculated driving by Justin Ream. He knows that's his best chance, and all he can do now is make sure to maximize that last corner as best as he has ever maximized it through Le Mans. We're actually not quite to Le Mans just yet. Now, Justin Ream's just sticking to the back of Watts. 1 corner is critical here to get in the draft down the back straight.
And it looked like there the Ream tried to back up the corner a little bit to get the best blast off that he could. Owen Watts immediately goes down to the inside to cover him off, but the gap is 2.5 seconds here, 2.5 tenths of a second. I wonder if that's going to be too much for Justin Ream to have to try to go. Watts now goes down to the inside, covering off that line. Here they come into the final corner of Sunset. That's going to be Ream on the outside trying to cross over, and Diaz with a big send coming up the middle there. They bound over the curves as it's 1, 2, 3 coming out of the final corner, and here comes Diaz. It looks like this is going to be Watts' race to win, as indeed Watts crosses over the line. Ream 0.2 of a second behind him, and Diaz only about 0.05 behind him.
Just not quite good enough of an exit for Justin Ream through Le Mans to really take advantage of the back straight with the snaking of Owen Watts. Yeah, there was no real shot for Justin Ream there, unfortunately. They're still fighting for the last spot in the top 10. Jerome Berthiaume, great race for him. I mentioned that he might fall down the order as he was helped with the draft and qualifying, but well done, Jerome. Top 10.
Yes, indeed. As there, the McLarens of Kyle Kamer and Darren Rutherford come out of the final corner. We watch here William Brennan and Drew Lidke as they come out of sunset right now, trying to make that last move as the Aston Martin there of Lidke. It's going to be too little too late as Brenner will finish in 17th ahead of him. A few more drivers here. Here's Brett Puncari trying to break the draft. A little bit of Johnny Luna behind Tim. Puncari is going to be able to pull in a 21st place position there on the rest of the field. As here we take a replay at that final run. Joey, talk us through this. This was incredible.
Ream was really trying to go for the switchback, but it didn't work for him, and he actually ended up opening the door for Michael Diaz, who just had an incredible send into the final corner. I'm amazed he was actually able to get that car slowed down. Just wasn't quite enough of a run to the line, though, to beat Justin Ream to second. But that was an incredible battle there for those last 15 minutes. Francis Castillo-Romero and Michael Diaz just kind of watching there at the end. Ream and Watts putting on some incredible and clean racing for the win here. This GT4 series never really disappoints, does it?
No, it really doesn't. And let's go ahead and run you through the final finishing order here. It was Owen Watts by the slimmest of margins over Justin Ream, who was able to take it by an even slimmer margin over Michael Diaz. Then Francis Castillo-Romero, who was really in the popcorn position, all of that battling in front. And then Patrick Bachelard to round out your top five. Hernan Gonzalez came home in P6, followed by Adam Brockway with Fernando Yaquez and Chase Brown in 9th. Jerome Bertillon in 10th place. Then it was Artie Mercedes, followed by Dean Giroux, Kyle Kamer, Darren Rutherford, and Jean-Marc Tremblay. Sean Mulholland was in 16th, followed by William Brennan, Drew Lidke. We saw that battle coming to the line with David Slee and Tim Collier in the top 20. In 21st was Brett Puncari, followed by Johnny Luna. That battle coming down to the line as well. Brian Hoskins, Austin Harris, and Liam Park. Then it was Corey Clark and Nicholas Collender with Matthew Miles, the last driver to finish on the lead lap. 29th place, Gabriel Gignac was a lap down, as was Matthew Wyckoff in 30th. 31st was Marvin Frias, who had some problems out there today, as did Anthony Dring. And it does look like that we've got a full fleet of drivers ready to chat with us. First and foremost, it is Owen Watts. And Owen, I'm out of breath up in the booth, hooting and hollering about that. How were you feeling after that last 5, 6, 7 lap battle?
Oh, I'm so stoked on that win. That one definitely meant a lot with all the battling. I'm still catching my breath as well. It was great, clean racing. I enjoyed every second of it. I love racing with these guys. And that win could have gone to anybody today, and I came out lucky on top. So.
Well, talk to me a little bit about coming out of the pit stop sequence. I mean, you had about a 2.5 second gap on Justin. What was going through your mind at that point? Did you think you had the race well in hand, or were you expecting him to be able to make that charge up on you?
I knew he was probably going to be able to close that gap. As we were leaving the pits, I was questioning how fast it would be, and we saw how fast it would be. Justin had insane pace tonight. I'm not sure why everyone took their pit stop so early. That kind of gave me peace of mind coming into the pits because I knew I would come out first with those early pit stops. But Justin just blew me away on race pace tonight, and that's how he closed that gap.
Well, you did a fantastic job, and I've got to ask you the obligatory question. We look ahead here to Sandown next time out. Last season was insanity. What do you think you can expect there from that crazy Australian circuit this time around?
Probably some more insanity. Definitely not one of my favorite tracks, and I had a rough time there last season and the McLaren. But I'm feeling a lot more confident heading in there with the Mercedes. Should handle those giant curbs a little bit better than the McLaren did. So I definitely have some more confidence going into it this time.
Well, we wish you all of the luck and all the confidence that we can give you. Owen, congratulations on a great victory. Who makes this possible for you?
Oh, definitely the guys over at Hardpoint Delta Sport. Been working all week. They're great guys. And then my girlfriend. All I want to thank.
All right, well, that was Owen Watts, your victor here today in a fiercely fought battle with our second-place driver, who, Joey, I believe you've been able to catch up with, Justin Ream.
Well, Justin, that was probably the battle of the season in this series. That was pretty incredible watching you and Owen go at it. What more did you need in the last lap?
I needed to not overfuel at the pit stop. I put way too much fuel in because I suck at math, but that was probably one of the funnest races I've had in a very long time. Like, Owen's racecraft was just much better than mine, and he was just able to put the car in the right spot.
Where do you think you were helped by the distinct advantages of the Porsche, and where do you think he was helped by the Mercedes?
I think it's sector 2, like after turn 1 there, the infield, the exit coming into the hairpin, the Cayman seemed to be a little bit stronger through there, and then it was through like Cunningham and Tower. It seemed like the Mercedes was a lot better through there.
Next week we go to Sandown. We're going to ask every single driver about it because it is just such a big highlight of the schedule. I think that was actually the race before you joined us last season, but are you looking forward to taking these GT4s around Sandown in the PRL for the first time?
It should be fun. It'll be a little bit interesting and see how much air we can catch over the curves, and hopefully it turns out as good of a race as today was.
I can only hope. We've been hyping it up so much, I hope it's true, but congrats again on getting on the podium again tonight. We wish you good luck in the second half of the season.
Thanks, guys.
That was Justin Ream, P2 this evening, and we've got the whole podium here, DJ. Michael Diaz is here with you.
Yes, we do. Michael, talk me through those last couple of laps. We thought you were kind of out of the equation, and then you suddenly were able to insert yourself into that and really make a charge there at the end. What was going through your mind?
I was just happy to be involved, to be honest. The Beamer, it was definitely not at its best today. So yeah, I was just lucky to be there, in all honesty.
Well, that last corner in particular, you were really able to dive it in going down into Sunset and almost were able to pip Justin Ream at the line. I mean, talk me through your mentality just going into that last corner, and you had infinitesimal margins and you managed it perfectly.
Well, last lap, last corner, it's a pretty wide corner, so just send it. And I think I had it pretty much under control. But I think Owen slightly helped Justin there at the straight, and then he just managed to edge me out. But yeah, it was really nice because it was so tight. I raced in VR, and it was Justin's car in the wall, so that was pretty cool.
Cool indeed. And speaking of tight confines, we head to Sandown next time out. Do you like your chances there? Obviously, a little bit bumpy, like Sebring here today. You think the Beamer's going to be able to do well, or is it going to be another tough one for you?
Honestly, with the mood swing this car has been doing lately, I have no idea what to expect. I'll just, like always, go and do my best and try to get a podium or good points. And yeah, just hope for the best, like always.
Well, we wish you all the luck in the world when you get there. And is there anybody you'd like to thank for this podium here today?
Yeah, my teammates, Francis, Jerome, were awesome support today, and my friends. And also you guys for wishing me happy birthday last week. I caught that. Thanks. And to the guys at Husingveld, I've been having issues with my throttle, and Enzo and Cohen have been massive help in trying to get that sorted out. So yeah, thanks to those guys.
Well, thank you, Michael. Congratulations here again, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, man. Have a good night.
Right back at you. That was Michael Diaz there. And Joey, looks like we've got time for an interview or two more, and I believe Jerome Bertiome is waiting for you.
The hits keep on coming. Jerome, you were like 19th in qualifying for the longest time. Then your two teammates give you a huge draft. You make it up to 9th, and you hung on to the top 10 for the whole race. How do you do it?
During the qualifying, we were trying to work together to get a good time, and it was terrible. It was terrible for me. And then at the end, last lap, my two teammates in front, they told me, "Oh, you had a good lap," and I just told them, "Yes, keep pushing," because I know that they're better than me and faster than me. So yeah, it was a nice lap at the end.
So where's the zoom tonight? We don't see you on Zoom. I wanted to see if you were going to move the camera even higher than normal.
You know what? Actually, I forget it. And what's funny is, like an idiot, I was looking at my cam stand, thinking that my cam was there talking to you, and there's no cam. So
Jerome just talking into the air. I hope somebody was in your house was just watching you talk into the middle of the air there. But oh, great. 4 more weeks to go. Sandown, Nürburgring, Mid-Ohio, Road America. What are you looking the most forward to?
stand down. I think we had a very good show last season there. So yeah, I can't wait to go back there. Yeah, so that's gonna be a very fun end of season for sure.
And congrats once more on keeping it in the top 10 this week, and maybe we'll see you next week. And remember your camera next time.
Yeah, sure, of course. Thank you, guys.
No problemo. Jerome Bertiome, P10 tonight, and kind of the guy who organizes this whole PRL thing. So we're always biased towards him. But DJ, you could talk to one more driver. Halloween's come a week early, and Princess Daisy's here in the booth.
He has indeed. She has indeed. Brett, first off, you got to talk me through the inspiration for the costume. I mean, it's obvious, but you're racing it a week early, man.
Well, I hope to do this on Halloween, but I don't know if I'm going to make that race, so I figured I'd bring this a week early. But this is all because of a weird dream I had one night that I was racing in this costume. And even my favorite Nintendo character is Donkey Kong. I have a big soft spot for Princess Daisy. And I could see myself more wearing the Daisy costumes and whatnot. I got the crown and the earrings and whatnot. And now this paint is all over my... is more known from my stock cars. But I figured I might as well throw it on get Nick Baker Splash and Go Graphics to throw this on the Porsche. And I figured I run this tonight. If I'm able to make next week at Sandown, I'm going to do this again. But I figured in case I don't make it next week, I bust it out tonight.
Well, I love it. I love the mentality. I love the commitment, Brett. And, I mean, how was the race for you there? Looked like you were involved in some pretty intense battles up and down through the field.
It wasn't the start I really wanted. I was being super careful, being mired in that mid-pack. But then I saw Corey Clark losing in front of me. I had to duck to the grass to avoid him, so I was right at the back of the field. And then I slowly started chipping away, and then I got caught in a big battle with Colander, Hoskins, and Austin Harris. I did my normal strategy of waiting till like about 20 minutes to go, pit, and then add a couple extra laps of field to make sure I make it to the end. And I got out ahead of Austin, but then I let him go thinking he was faster than me, and then we both started making mistakes. So it was a big battle to the end. So it wasn't my best performance because I was so careful on that start, and avoiding Corey wasn't the best scenario for me, but at least I was able to recover, and I almost got in there a top 20 finish. But I knew the pace of the Porsche. Then again, I don't know how Justin Reed makes that Porsche work. Maybe I should talk to him about making that car work better. But no, I knew my pace of the car wasn't going to be that good, especially because of the long straightaways. Like I said, it wasn't my best run, but at least I have the car in one piece.
That's all you can ask for sometimes. And Brett, who makes this possible for you? Who brings the Daisy Mobile home each day?
Well, again, thanks to Nick Baker at Splash and Go Graphics, sorry. And I forward all those sponsors, the Ford engine and all that stuff from my other paint. But thanks to everyone at Precision Racing again for allowing me into this season. RaceSpotTV, obviously, you guys in the booth for doing a heck of a job as always. And also Jerome for running the league. And like I said, I hope to make it next week at Sandown. But if I'm not able to make it, at least I'm able to wear this tonight.
Exactly, and we thank you for it, Brett. We hope to see you next week, and if not, congratulations on a good run tonight.
All right, thanks.
All right, that was Brett Pincari. And Joey, that's about going to wrap things up for us here tonight. A fantastic run of 2 races. I don't think we could really ask for more drama and more spectacular racing up at the front of the field.
We could not have asked for any better, and we've been hyping up Sandown next week so much that I think it's got to match our expectations. It's got to be a great race next week. If we put on this good of a race at Sebring, we can do it at Sandown next week as well. I'm going to start thinking about my Halloween costume next week. Maybe I'll dress up as DJ Clark, but we'll have to see 7 days from now.
Just slick your hair over it. You can do it. This is going to be terrifying. Okay, but as for us here tonight, we are about done and wrapped up. But as we said, we will be headed to Sandown next time out. You are not going to want to miss that race, and it will be a little bit festive here up in the booth on Halloween. So thank you so much for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure to bring you the broadcast. And on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, Joey Tebben, as well as our director and producer up in the booth, Hugo Luis, until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.